In Rochester, the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester, an Odyssey sports station.
It's time to start the show and talk about the sports we saw. Inside jokes and takes from Danger and Battaglia. Bills and the Sabres and the Ambers. Who gave a microphone to these jerks? Gene's a big timer, a social misfit. Clueless to the title of the biggest buskeg hits. Chuck Munchie's goons have the last say. So thanks for your time, Mr. Mayo. Danger likes his cold ones and he likes his bears. Well, this is Rochester, cute Francesa.
Oh, who cares?
He's critical of Sean, he's critical of Al, and of course he married Sandy, cause she's Italian. Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. Welcome to the sports bar, that's where you are. With Danger and Battaglia.
Very good afternoon to you as we welcome you on into Rochester's only local sports talk show. You found the sports bar. It's Danger and Battaglia. We appreciate you listening at 95.7 FM, AM 950, the free-to-download Odyssey app where we're sounding our best on your smart device when you ask it to play 95.7 The Fan. We're even streaming on our YouTube channel at The Fan Rochester and on Twitch at The Fan Rochester. I'm Danger. That's Battaglia.
And if you're watching right now on YouTube, we look like we're dressed for the outdoors because 14 degrees outdoors. Here in the High Fall Studios, 60 degrees today.
We got up to 14 today, though. The 14 was a far cry from what we woke up to this morning. I woke up early this morning with every good intention. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to get up early. I'm going to be there at 5:30 when the gym doors open up. I'm going to get my workout on early. And I looked out the window, and I saw that school was canceled. And I'm like, nah, I'll just go on the treadmill inside, do my dad run on the inside in the warmth of the cave. I'm soft. I think I'm getting soft. I think that's what's going on here.
So our dog Beasley, who, yes, kids named him after Cole Beasley, their favorite Buffalo Bill at the time. Beasley is a schnoodle, and Beasley, every morning, I will get up 6 a.m., first thing, let Beasley out, and Beasley took 2 steps on the deck and was like, nope. Not having it. Scratch. Let me in the. All right, buddy. Yeah. You just better not do anything here in the house.
Well, hopefully everybody had the chance to stay warm today. I mean, the world that we live in now kind of affords us the ability to work from home in a lot of situations. I got to tell you, I feel for the guys that are working outside that do have to work outside. They don't have a choice but to work outside. The real heroes who are doing that kind of work on a day like today, and hopefully it warms up here through the course of the week. We've got an AFC championship game to continue to talk about this afternoon in the sports bar, and we're going to do it with a couple of our favorites.
Yeah, we're going to talk. I want to see kind of what they're saying nationally about this matchup. And one guy we really trust, and you hear him beginning at 11 o'clock every night here on our station. He's part of the Infinity Sports Network, Bart Winkler. We got to know Bart years ago when he was doing morning radio in Milwaukee.
Yeah.
Just a great voice from that part of the country. If you ever listen to his show, it's a different vibe. He's very insightful. Had the opportunity to go on his show last night, which, well, normally you would hear, except we had Sabres hockey last night.
Yeah, but you know what? Good for the Sabres. Good for Yuri Kulik. Yeah. If we're going to just touch on the Sabres. I mean, the kids won the game for them in Vancouver last night. Kulik, a part of all 3 of the Sabres' goals with what do you have? 2 goals and an assist, I want to say, or a goal and an assist. Peterka getting the game-winning goal. Right. Yeah, it was Kulik with 2 goals, assist, and Peterka getting the game winner. So the kids making it happen for the Sabres, which was nice to see. But yes, because that was on the Fan last night, we did not have you.
No, but that's fine. And so Bart will be coming up 4:25. We will talk to Bart, not about just this matchup, but NFL in general. Bart Winkler, Infinity Sports Network.
And then later this hour, he's become sort of a sports bar nemesis. And I know I'm going to say who's coming up, and some of you listening are going to say, well, I will not be listening at 3:25. I'm going to encourage you to listen to 3:25. If anything, just to hear what exactly is on the mind of a Chiefs fan today. And when Jay Binkley comes into the sports bar and shares what he's got on his mind, I'm convinced the Bills are going to win this game on Sunday. If this is truly the way they feel right now Bills are going to win.
Well, I confirmed with Jay this morning, texted him, appreciated that, and Jay sends me back this. You bet anytime. I feel the Chiefs are getting disrespected.
I love it.
And I texted him back this, and you don't get the context of a text back, and I'm going to give you the context of my text back. Who is disrespecting the Chiefs?
I think it's great.
Who? And I'm like, Jay,
great.
tell me, Jay. Jay, who is disrespecting your team? Gene, everyone is. National talk shows, and you name it. It's all about the refs. Schlereth, Coward, to name a few.
I love it.
Oh, my gosh.
It's all about the refs. Didn't we dispel that myth yesterday? I thought we dispelled that myth yesterday. If you weren't listening yesterday, yesterday afternoon, for everybody that wants to complain about the refs and think that Kansas City is in bed with the NFL and with the officials, in the past 2 years, Chiefs opponents have been flagged 48 times in the fourth quarter and overtime of one-score games. Kansas City has been flagged 47. There's so many stats out there that show that that's such a false narrative and that it's just not true. You're wasting calories by thinking that it's rigged or the officials have it out for whoever is playing against the Chiefs and that everybody's it's ridiculous. And if you really want to put a stop to it, just don't let it get down to one play where the officials make a call that's questionable and take advantage when it goes in your way. And by the way, the Bills have played the Chiefs where questionable calls have gone their way. We can't really say anything about this. Let's just let it play out.
Breaking news in the sports part, Andrew.
We have breaking news in the sports part. Ow! Ow! Ow!
It really hit me. I didn't know it was coming back that far.
Yeah, thanks to the couple callers who pointed this out here. This just happened right as we were getting on the air. The Jacksonville Jaguars have fired general manager Trent Baalke.
No! No!
Took you that long?
Really? No!
No.
Come on.
We're not there yet. We still got a couple of days going through. Coach and I haven't sat down and gone through the final board yet. We'll do that on Monday.
No!
All right, so the story today was the OC in Tampa who, if you know his name, then you really know for Cohen.
Liam Cohen.
Liam Cohen. Like, he was considered the leading candidate.
He's like, nah, I'm good.
Yeah, he went through the first interview, and then he announced today that he pulled his name out of the running.
Right. You can't get that guy to be your head coach. Liam Cohen, who I'm sure will be a fine head coach someday, just not this year with Jacksonville.
So only now you decide, you know what? The guy who farted at a press conference, maybe we need a different direction.
We're not there yet. We still got a couple of days going through. Coach and I haven't sat down and gone through the final board yet. We'll do that on Monday.
So good. I mean, honestly, Guy should be a GM somewhere else because to have – I'm so impressed by the ability to let one rip, have no shame, apologize, and continue on without losing a beat. I mean, the guy was seamless with that fart. He was absolutely a pro.
But it's not like you're doing this in front of one person. You're doing this in front of a whole room.
Yeah. Just the nuts to do that, own it, and not lose your train of thought. Guy's a hero. He's a national treasure. You can't fire that guy.
Then can you imagine the second wave if it comes up? Then like, oh, that was Trent. Yeah. Like that takes fortitude.
Well, it's funny. I was I got invited. I don't know when this happened. Last fall, maybe. I got invited into a text thread with primarily New York sports fans. Mets fans, Jets fans, some Giants fans, a lot of Knicks fans.
So the kind of rule of thumb, and this is from geography way back in the day, if you're a Met fan, more often than not, you're a Jet fan, and you didn't root for the Knicks. But then the lines of Rangers, Knicks, Yankees, Giants apply. So
Sure.
that's how it kind of breaks
Right.
up.
And these are all industry friends. They're either in radio or the music industry, and they all live in that kind of general vicinity of, Connecticut, Long Island, or they live in the city. And when they saw the news of Aaron Glenn being hired as the Jets head coach, they're like, ugh, I can't believe they did this. Why would they hire their head coach before they hire a GM? Typical Jets, doing it wrong again. I can't think of a single time where this has worked. And I just raised my hand. I said, you guys are more than welcome. Any team is welcome to follow the Bills template. And, it was telling that they're not paying as close attention as we are because we're in the blast zone. But they're like, well, we don't even have our franchise quarterback. I'm like, neither did we. It's not an easy thing to do. I give Brandon Beane a lot of credit, but that template exists. That model exists. You could look at a team like the Steelers and say, they haven't won as many Super Bowls as their fans would like, but if you want a model of success, stability wins. And how do you have that stability? Let's see what the Jets do. I would let Aaron Glenn pick his general manager.
Or you're at least at minimum, he's involved in the interview process.
No question.
Yeah, like it should be the owner ultimately, but who do you feel good about working with? Now, what I could see the Jets doing, hey, Phil Savage, you did a really good job kind of guiding us through, and you have experience, so you stay on. That would be the kind of cheap way to do it. And it's going to be a long haul. I think that's the idea. I have seen this take coming out of WFN and other places, Danger, that the Jets, because you have a new head coach, you want things to be stable, that the Jets would be better off bringing back Aaron Rodgers. From where I sit here in West New York, I say yes, absolutely.
Good idea.
Absolutely. Bring back Aaron Rodgers because you know what? Maybe you can get to 8 or 9 wins next year because that's what it's really all about.
And it's funny, Vegas hired their GM. They're hiring Buccaneers assistant GM, John Spytek, to be their next GM. And just to kind of connect the dots here, I was thinking, I wonder if they hire him, if they bring in a guy like Liam Cohen, because you've got, again, a relationship there. You've got alignment there. You've got a young GM who probably knows this coordinator inside and out, but from all accounts, Cohen has extended as the offensive coordinator, has a new deal with the Buccaneers and won't be. So we'll see now who the Raiders bring in, but they opted to hire their GM first and then bring in their head coach. And I don't know that there's a right or wrong way to do it. If you have alignment, you have alignment, and a lot of winning teams have done it differently than the Bills have. But we've seen it firsthand. Sean McDermott working with Doug Whaley through that first draft and then bringing in his guy to run it. Must have presented one hell of an argument, one hell of a case, or it was just something that was an unspoken thing where it's like Wales knew he was going to be out at the end of the draft with this hiring of our new head coach because we want to start with a clean slate. And the Jets have the opportunity to do that. And maybe you do bring back Aaron Rodgers for a season. But you sell your soul to get your franchise quarterback at some point here down the road in the next year or two. You want to get that franchise quarterback. And maybe they already have it with the kid from Florida State last year that didn't play, basically redshirted his first year in the NFL. But we haven't seen. We don't know.
Could be. They're not in a position. They'd have to make some moves in order to get to the top if they want Kent Ward or Shedeur Sanders. But, yeah, we got a lot of time to talk draft, I suppose. But I'm going to reserve judgment there. The other thing, too, was the report out of Jacksonville was that now that Cohen pulled himself out, it's actually the former Jets head coach, Robert Saleh, that's being considered the leading candidate out there, which, again, this happens every year. What is the rush? Like, wouldn't you want to actually talk to some of the coordinators that are still doing it? Whether it's Buffalo, if they get to the Super Bowl, wouldn't you want to talk to Joe Brady? It's amazing. Like, you want to go to the defensive coordinator route, fine. Steve Spagnuolo has head coaching experience. Yeah. Steve Spagnuolo, he has one more ring than Patrick Mahomes. He won one with the Giants as defensive coordinator.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, if Saleh gets another job, okay. What are we putting on the timer for that? 2, 3, 4 years? I mean, maybe that's a scenario much like a Doug Marrone scenario, where it's like, okay, you're failing in multiple places now. There's no way Saleh in Jacksonville works, right? I mean, we saw that firsthand here. And yes, the Jets are a bit of a tire fire, but I don't have any idea of where. Give me some examples where Robert Saleh came off like a good head coach. The way they handled Zach Wilson, was that leadership? Was that a good head coach move? With the way that they dealt with Aaron Rodgers, all of it. I just think, he's not a good head coach. Good defensive mind, good defensive coordinator, I'm sure. Probably not a good head coach.
Well, usually I'm all for second chances and you learn some things, your mistakes, but you have enough time to kind of reflect that over everything. Like sometimes you just go and you serve your time as a coordinator somewhere and you get that second chance. But now that Balky is out, and for the sports bar purposes, this makes me sad.
It does. It does. I doubt he gets another chance, right? He was with the Niners before he was with the Jags. And now where's he going to go? The UFL maybe? You go to the UFL? We're going to have press conferences?
We're not there yet. We still got a couple of days going through. Coach and I haven't sat down and gone through the final board yet. We'll do that on Monday.
It's just amazing. It's amazing.
How did not – shame on you, Jacksonville media. How did you not follow up that? Did you just fart?
Sir, could you answer this question? Did you smell that or did you deal that? What? Yeah. Well, thanks to our tipsters for alerting us of that breaking news in the sports bar. That is one of our favorites who just lost his job. Trent Baalke out as GM in Jacksonville. Dysfunctional teams do dysfunctional things. Don't know what took him so long, but maybe it was. You couldn't close a door on Liam Cohen. Get out of here. We're gonna start over. Liam Cohen. We can't even get Liam Cohen to come here because you're the GM. Bye-bye.
Well, that and who's made more money this offseason? Gabe Davis or Saquon Barkley? You could say, well, that's a product of the market. Well, you decided to spend money on Gabe Davis when everybody up here was like,
crazy.
I don't know.
Before
about that,
Christian Kirk. I mean, just ridiculous contracts in free agency. To the Bills, practice today. Today was a walkthrough, if I'm not mistaken, right?
As always, close to the media. So when the report came out, remember I mentioned Deion Dawkins got out of there quick? He didn't talk, which was kind of unusual. He did not practice today with an illness.
Okay.
So we're on a need to know on that. Taylor Rapp, day-to-day, but he did not practice with that hip issue. And then limited two players, Milano, his hammy sore apparently, and Christian Benford, which, okay, that's going to be limited for the rest of the week when you're going through the protocol. So I'll take that today.
Sean McDermott quickly. If you don't believe Gene, believe the coach.
So Taylor Rapp will not practice. He's day-to-day is a hip. Christian Benford remains in concussion protocol. He'll be limited with that. And then Matt Milano will be limited as well with some hamstring soreness.
And you mentioned Dawkins not participating with an illness. Also note that Anthony Brown, quarterback, was brought in for the practice squad last week to simulate Lamar Jackson in practice, I would imagine, has been waived from the Bills practice squad. Who'd they bring back, Gino?
Eli Anku.
Of course.
I feel like I'm a Eli Anku stan.
These guys are like hired assassins, right? Like, we're going to bring you in for a week, or we're just, you're puppets. You're at our beck and call. Not like they're going to complain. They're getting paid one way or the other, even on the practice squad. But if you're Anthony Brown and you thought you were latching on to the Bills, no, it was probably made very clear to him. We need you for a week. We need you to simulate Lamar. You know him very well.
You're getting paid to do this.
And you're getting paid to do this. Be a pro. Come in here. And he did his job. And they let him go today. So Eli Anku back. Anthony Brown waived from the Bills practice squad. And then one last kind of note from the Bills win over the Ravens. And we mentioned this yesterday when we were talking about Mark Andrews and what he might be going through. And I checked just before we jumped on the air. Over $75,000 has been donated to Mark Andrews' Juvenile Diabetes Foundation, which is called Breakthrough T1D. And that was set up by Bills Mafia, of course. So the goal, I believe, was $90,000. So $75,000, almost to their goal. And my guess is that at some point that goal will be decimated. It'll just be crushed.
I hope Mark Andrews finds some peace knowing that.
Going to be fine.
He's going to be,
He's going to be fine. I mean, I just think to myself, the losers in life who are threatening this man's life. I have no words. Those are people I feel like we can't save, but what we can do and what we can control, we can make things a little bit better. And this is kind of what Bills Mafia has become known for, right? Like, hey man, we've been there. We know what that feels like. That hurts. Let's try and come together and do something good for the guy, and that's exactly what we've done.
To hear Sean McDermott in the line of questioning off of something that Nate Geary brought up with us.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting, the magnitude of this AFC Championship game. And Nate Geary, when he was on with us earlier, kind of stumbled into the idea while he was talking with us, kind of workshopped it out live on the air. Like, it's just a team that feels like they're not afraid of losing anymore.
Yeah, we've got to take them one game at a time, just like the regular season, and stick with our process and be consistent with it, quite honestly.
Is it harder to do, though, considering the circumstances and the stakes this Sunday?
I think when you know who you are and you know what works for us, it's a lot easier. If you have to adjust things this time of year, then it gets more difficult, perhaps. But we've been taking the same approach rather consistently all season.
Is this team not afraid to lose? There seems to be a fearlessness about this team.
I mean, it's a mindset like we've talked about numerous times in here, right? And I think there's some truth to that. In order to win, you can't be afraid to lose, and I think those two go hand in hand.
If they lose to the Chiefs, okay. I mean, depending on how they lose, if they were to lose, we'll have something to talk about on Monday, one way or the other, but they've been through a lot. At this stage of where they are as a team, as a coach, as a quarterback, they can't be afraid to lose anymore. They know they've felt more pain in their losses than arguably any team in the NFL.
Well, sometimes fear plays a role in this. The fear of failure, fear of loss.
Right.
I don't think there's any fear.
No,
it's like, okay, here we are again.
And if you lose, it's like, all right, well, we lost to a really good team who has a quarterback who will be in the Hall of Fame someday and has an opportunity to win 3 straight Super Bowls. That's really good. Even though we don't like them, that is really, really, you have to respect that. So I don't know why Jay Binkley feels like the Chiefs are being disrespected. It's a team going for a three-peat, and it's all anybody wants to talk about, how they're going for a three-peat.
But they get all the calls. This is what it's about. Is he annoyed that, he gets as much, many of the memes of, Patrick Mahomes making out with an official?
I didn't need to see that. I mean, that's not using AI for what it was intended, I'm going to guess. I just didn't need to
that
see
didn't
it.
happen?
Nah, I don't know. Maybe not. But we'll check in with Jay Binkley now from our Odyssey Sports sister station, 96.5 The Fan, in Kansas City. He's going to stop by the sports bar next. Hey, we have time for your calls this afternoon as well. If you want to pull up a stool, the Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub Wingman line is open. That number is 866-4FAN, 585-866-4326. Award-winning barbecue from Good Smoke Barbecue and Pub at 135 West Commercial Street in East Rochester. GoodSmokeBBQ.com.
The Fan, and transform those sleepy tunes into electrifying sports action. The Fan Rochester Sports Update.
Rapp and Deion Dawkins did not practice today. Dawkins with an illness. Christian Benford, Matt Milano were limited. Head coach Sean McDermott on this familiar opponent and said it.
And we've played each other multiple times now. Initially when we first arrived here, we played in 2017, my first season out there, and then there was a gap in there of time. And then it seems like, when you have two good teams, two good organizations, that you kind of see each other frequently now. So we have a lot of respect for them.
Pre-game coverage of the AFC Championship game begins Sunday at 2 here on The Fan. We're going to talk to Jay Binkley, 96.5 The Fan in Kansas City, next. The New York Jets have hired Lions defensive coordinator Aaron Glenn as their new head coach. Jacksonville firing GM Trent Baalke. Gene Battaglia, the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan Rochester.
Neat or on the rocks? It's the Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia on the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan, Rochester.
I think it's fairly similar to kind of what I feel like we've adopted this year. And again, they control the ball extremely well. They don't make bad decisions. Obviously, Patrick is one of the greatest to ever play the game. And they're one of the greatest teams to ever be assembled, going for a three-peat, and that's what everybody wants to be in this league, is to have the sustained success that they've had. But again, they play great situational football. They understand when it's time to go and when it's time to kind of fend off someone. So, again, that's what we're aiming to be.
Josh Allen on the AFC Championship game opponent, the Buffalo Bills, the Kansas City Chiefs, as we welcome in Jay Binkley from 96.5 The Fan in Kansas City. Buddy, it's good to have you on with us. And I'm going to tee you up and let you go because Gino told me that you feel the Chiefs are being disrespected. Man, I just heard 35 seconds of Josh Allen praising the opponent.
Sean
Who's
McDermott.
disrespecting these Kansas City Chiefs?
Nobody in Western New York is disrespecting the Chiefs, Jay. Thanks for coming on, Jay.
Well, before we start, I wanted a Majestic Imperial Stout, please, from Three Heads. So before we start.
We can get that done for you, Jay. Don't worry.
Excuse me. I may or may not have just pulled a Trent Baalke. Hey, the disrespect is real. It may not be coming from Josh Allen. It's not coming from the Chiefs to the Bills either. I mean, we put a poll out this morning. People go check it out, 96.5 The Fan in Kansas City, about Josh Allen. 65% of Kansas City, that's the quarterback that brings doubt in their minds when they play him. So 65% of the people respect Josh Allen. But it's the national shows, guys. It's everywhere, from Coward, Jason McIntyre, Schleyer, you name it. It's bagging the Chiefs, and every call goes their way. But they don't want to look at facts. I recommend everybody go to look at Josh Dubois' Twitter from the AP. So I'm from the AP, and he spells it out. The Chiefs have more penalty yards. Patrick Mahomes is behind like 9 other quarterbacks as far as getting pass interference called down the field on them. I mean, it's ridiculous. But the disrespect, it's gotten so bad. I'm like, you know what? If I'm the Chiefs, everybody's crapping on them. I don't know if I do any national interviews. I mean, I would just put the kibosh on that. Do local only, or in your market or whatever, but don't do national interviews because everybody just continues to disrespect. I mean, you guys saw a little bit of it in Buffalo, especially with Josh Allen having the referee come over and talk to him on the sidelines. People were like, in Kansas City, were like, man, can you imagine if that would have happened to Mahomes? If that referee would have gone over to Mahomes on the sideline, people would have lost their ever-loving minds. But I feel that both these teams get disrespected, to be honest with you, a bit.
Well, Vinovich going over, and it was just basically to lecture Josh, hey, don't do that again.
Yeah.
That looked unusual. But Jay, I'm sorry, I'm not buying this. You're going for a three-peat. You in the postseason, you have owned Buffalo. This is manufactured BS coming from you.
Hey guys,
I'm sorry.
You know what? You can say that, but there's a show that comes out on ESPN every day from New York. It's called Sportsmanlike. So with Evan Cohen and Chris Canny, the former NFL player, and Michelle Smallwood is on there. And their poll question today was, are the Chiefs boring? Are the Chiefs too boring? No, seriously, that was their poll question. And, they were talking about how the internet, nobody likes the Chiefs, that they're too boring. And I'll remind people that last year the Chiefs-Bills game brought in 50 million viewers. Now, the Ravens-Bills game was a big game. That brought in 42 million viewers.
Right.
There was 50 million that watched the Chiefs. They were the first team ever on Amazon. They were the first playoff game ever on Peacock. They were the first game ever on Netflix. The NFL uses them. They had 3 games within 11 days. They got a lot of rest, and people went crazy about the Chiefs getting rest. And I have to remind them, do they need reminding? The Chiefs have played a full season longer than any player in the National Football League. And I understand that some of these guys are newer and have been rookies, but they played 2 straight years when they've played all the way to the Super Bowl. And when you play every year, Mahomes, Kelsey, Chris Jones, they played every year either to overtime in the AFC title game or the Super Bowl. So if they want to give them rest, so be it. They did play 3 games within 11 days there around Christmas time. They are 7-1 this year against playoff teams. The only NFL team that remotely came close to beating 7 playoff teams during the regular season was the Kansas City Chiefs. But people didn't understand the fact that they gave them rest. Well, everybody got rest. Josh Allen played 1 play against the Patriots to keep his streak alive. The Rams rested everybody. All these teams rested all these players, but the only team people wanted to give crap to was the Chiefs.
Well, Jay, are you confusing fatigue with disrespect? Because honestly, like we lived through this with the Patriots. Oh, gosh, these guys again. That's where the country is with the Chiefs, okay? Yes, and all of a sudden, you can't tell me there hasn't been some sort of horseshoe up this team, you know what, this year, between a doink field goal and a call here and a bad snap. I mean, yes, you could say we prepared for that against the Denver Broncos, but like, okay, here we are again with this team.
Well, didn't Washington have a doinked field goal in the playoffs? But nobody's saying anything about that. Oh, man, look at the Commanders. They're the feel-good story. They doinked the field goal in the playoffs. The Chiefs do in the regular season. It's like, oh, my God, the Chiefs are so lucky. Well, when you continue to put yourself in position for a chance to win, people have a hard time with it. And this league is tough. And I love former players that talk about it, like Chris Canty will talk about it. When you are where they're at, and you've gone 7 straight years with all different personnel, playing different styles of football, from wide open offenses to, more ball control offenses, but you've gone all the way either to losing in overtime to Tom Brady or Joe Burrow. Those are the only 2 losses, but those happened in the AFC title game in overtime. And I think people forget the year that the Chiefs got the ball first in overtime. The Bills fans don't forget, because Patrick Mahomes goes down and scores a touchdown, they win. And the Bills went nuts about it. Oh, we got to change this rule. We got to change this rule. Both teams need possessions. Well, that's fine, but they forget that 2018, the Chiefs played the New England Patriots. That happened. Tom Brady won the toss in overtime, went down and scored a touchdown against the Chiefs, and they lost the game. The same thing happened to the Chiefs that happened to the Buffalo Bills, but the rule wasn't changed in the NFL until it happened to the Bills.
What do you see about this Bills team from your perspective, Jay, that makes you nervous about Sunday?
I've liked this team all year round. I told you guys at the beginning of the year, we'll talk to you again in January, because I thought that the 2 best teams would be playing. It's the Buffalo Bills and it's the Kansas City Chiefs. I have none but respect. I've called Josh Allen the MVP all season long. I love the way that they play football. I love the fact that there's not this huge amount of talent on that offense, but they're just smart. The way that Joe Brady, the way they're running the offense, the way that they're doing things. There's not a lot of household names on the Bills offense. There's not a lot of household names on the Chiefs offense. The Chiefs only had 1 receiver that had a catch in the last playoff game against the Texans. Just 1. It was Worthy. That was the only receiver. Hopkins didn't have any. Hollywood Brown didn't have any. Worthy was the only receiver. Yes, they had tight ends. A couple tight ends made catches, but only 1 receiver made catches. They find a way to win with different talent, a lot like Buffalo. I remember in 2015 when the Royals won the World Series over the Mets. Sorry, Gene.
Wow.
But he was at the victory parade, and he said, the MVP of the league, not on our team. Offensive player of the year, not on our team. We're the World Series champions. That's the way it is with this team. They're not winning any awards. Last year at the NFL Awards, they didn't have an assistant coach of the year win, MVP, but they won nothing. They weren't even up for any awards, but they go out and they win the Super Bowl. Andy Reid can't buy a coach of the year. He's only won 1. 2002 was the only time he won Coach of the Year. Kevin Stefanski in Cleveland has won it twice. Matt Nagy's even won it. Andy Reid is one of 4 human beings to have over 300 wins in the National Football League. He's sitting at 27 postseason wins. The great Bill Belichick has 31 postseason wins. That means Andy Reid is 4 wins away from being the winningest postseason coach in the history of the National Football League. But he cannot buy a Coach of the Year. But I'm sorry. Repeating and being good every single year, having the bullseye on your back, is tougher than these teams that fail and just win 3 games or 4 games and all of a sudden, have a turnaround the next year. That's ridiculous.
Well, I mean, that's a flawed award. We can all kind of
agree. It's a flawed award.
It's a flawed award.
It shouldn't even be an award.
It should be just you exceeded our expectations award. Jay Binkley, 96.5, The Fan in Kansas City, is our guest. Jay, this was a legit topic, and we got feedback on both ways. Leading into Bills-Ravens, all right, Bills fans, what would you rather have? Would you rather have the Texans upset the Chiefs and have the AFC Championship game, or would you rather go to Arrowhead? Because, Jay, you know your sports history. It is filled with teams that there was the opposing team in their path. The NBA really known for this. Hey, we're the Celtics. No, finally the Pistons got over on them. The Bulls with Jordan, finally they got over on the Pistons. You look at the Red Sox, finally they got past the Yankees. For the Buffalo Bills, Jay, this feels only right to be playing at Arrowhead on Sunday. Nobody here is afraid.
No, if they come in here and win, that's, pretty much cements the Buffalo Bills and Josh Allen's, place in history. I mean, there's some pressure on both these quarterbacks, It's Josh Allen being able to punch through and make it to the Super Bowl. It's the pressure on Mahomes to go out and repeat. Who knows what this team looks like next year? Who knows if Kelsey plays another down? After this, there's a lot of question marks, on the Chiefs, and they've been bagged all year. And I'll say this. Last year, the fact that the Chiefs had to go to Buffalo and win, the fact they had to go to Baltimore and win was good for this team, because nationally the narrative last year was, let Mahomes go win on the road. He can't go win on the road. And he goes historically. They beat top 6 offensive and scoring defenses every single time through the playoffs. They go on the road, win in Buffalo, win in Baltimore, and they win on a neutral facility, beating the Niners yet again. But winning in Buffalo, I mean, look at Mahomes' splits. You guys would be amazed if you look at his splits. He's better on the road. He's got a better completion percentage, a lot more touchdowns, a lot more yards. Like, he's a better quarterback on the road than he has been at home. And last year, when the narrative is, we'll get the Chiefs at Arrowhead, see if they can win. So the fact that they went on the road and won in Buffalo, that was huge. I look at, even though that wasn't an AFC title game, I look at that game a lot like the Bills in Kansas City, because I think that shut a lot of people up that Mahomes can win on the road, because there was that question, can he win in the postseason on the road, because everything else has been at Arrowhead. But winning in Buffalo, I think, gave this team confidence. Now, if Josh Allen comes to Arrowhead Stadium and beats the Chiefs, I look at it very, very similar to both those quarterbacks' pass.
Jay, how's the protection been for Mahomes? We know there's been a lot of shuffling on that offensive line.
It's been better. It's been better. He hasn't really turned the ball over since that Buffalo Bills game that the Chiefs lost in Orchard Park. He's not taking sacks. He was sacked 35 times through the first 14 games and hasn't been sacked as much. He's been getting a lot of pressures. The one thing the Chiefs did is they moved all-pro guard Joe Thuney, who's an all-pro again, out to left tackle. So he goes from guard to tackle, and that's made a difference, although it was met with some resistance. Like Andy Reid, it took him a while to make that move, and there was a question who was going to even play left tackle this week, if it's going to be Humphreys that they picked up that played with Arizona last year, or is it going to be Thuney? Because I know this is getting down in the weeds and silly, but he's got 32.25-inch arms, okay? Andy Reid's tackles have always been like 34.25-inch arms. I mean, he likes longer reach for left tackles. And even though Joe Thuney, but he's an all-pro guard, playing guard and tackler, 2 different positions. But because he's so good and is the first guy in NFL history, his first 3 years to play in the Super Bowl, because he was with the Patriots back then when they went on that run, and he's been a big part of the Chiefs' success. But that was the strength of the Chiefs, the interior with Thuney and Creed Humphrey, the center, and Trey Smith, the other guard. They've had some weakness at tackle, but not on the interior part of the line. But Joe Thuney will be the left tackle for the Chiefs this week. Ever since they made that switch a couple of weeks ago when he went from left guard out to play left tackle. It's been sufficient. It's not been great. Buffalo has been getting to the quarterback, even though their sack numbers are exactly like the Chiefs during the regular season. 39 sacks was the same. But the Chiefs are getting to the quarterback. They had 8 sacks this past week against the Texans. They want to cry in all of them after the game and talk about the refs. Well, don't give up 8 sacks and don't miss 3 kicks. Maybe you'll win a football game. But they were sacked 8 times in that game. So the Chiefs were getting after the quarterback. Chris Jones is playing like a beast. And then George Karlaftis, who's a former first-round pick, as well as Trent McDuffie playing well. He had 3 sacks in that game against the Texans. So the Chiefs are getting to the quarterback. They just can't let Josh Allen get out of the pocket. I mean, that killed him last time. When he gets out of the pocket, he's such a good runner. He can hurt the Chiefs. And, you know, it's really probably the player they don't want to play is Josh Allen just because of what he can do. I mean, look, he beat the Chiefs earlier this year. He can clearly do it, and this offense is good. If there's one team that can beat him, it's the Buffalo Bills.
Do we have to brace for design plays for Xavier Worthy? I mean, is Andy Reid – it's not only something to win, but I want to win with style points. I want to remind you in Western New York that this is what you gave to us.
Well, you know, he's been good. And you look at his numbers, and don't just look at his receiving numbers. Look at his rushing numbers and his rushing TDs as well. He's really come on strong. like Rashee Rice last year, who's, by the way, I'll remind people, he didn't play except the beginning of the year. He's been hurt all year, and Hollywood Brown didn't come back till the end of the year, so they've been without 2 big-time receivers most of the season. It's why they went out and got DeAndre Hopkins, who, by the way, only played 16 snaps the last game. Hollywood Brown and DeAndre Hopkins really had limited snaps in the last game. As I mentioned, they only had Xavier Worthy catching the ball, but he's really fitting into this offense. We know what his speed can do. But he's been a nice weapon. They like to use him a lot on the sweeps and a lot of the ways that they used Mecole Hardman, who, by the way, is going to stay on IR. There was talk that he was going to be activated for the Bills game. He will not be. So they'll have to use but Hollywood Brown and Xavier were their speed demons on the outside, and that opens some things up for Kelsey in the middle at over 100 yards receiving yet again against the Texans.
Jay, I want to talk about a couple of players who weren't on the field when these two teams met earlier this season. One, I'm curious about the Chiefs' backfield and Pacheco and whether or not he looks like the same running back to you since coming back from his injury. And then the other thing I was going to bring up, knowing that Kansas City is 31st in success rate, 32nd in yards per play when opposing teams are targeting their tight end, Dalton Kincaid did not play earlier this year when these two teams met. Do the Chiefs have a tight end issue when they're defending the tight end, and how does Pacheco look coming out of the backfield?
I think the tight end has been an issue. I mean, the Chiefs have let tight ends really do damage. It was Isaiah Likely doing all that damage for the Ravens when they played the Chiefs earlier this year. Chiefs got the win, but Isaiah Likely had a huge game. But tight ends all across the board have been playing well. And Dalton Kincaid, surely a guy that could do some damage against the Chiefs, but they have had problems stopping tight ends. And as far as Isaiah Pacheco, and I've always said this about Isaiah, the Chiefs have always had a horrible time on 3rd and 4th and 1 because they won't do the tush push. They just won't do it. Ever since Mahomes dislocated his knee against the Broncos doing a quarterback sneak, they won't do it. Now, I do think they'll do it at some point, whether it's a Super Bowl, AFC title game, you name it. Teams aren't expecting it because they don't do it. They haven't done it in, 5 years. They haven't run quarterback sneaks. But Isaiah Pacheco, as hard as he runs, he doesn't pick up 3rd and 1s and 4th and 1s. It's been a real liability. Kareem Hunt, in my opinion, and a lot of people's opinion around Kansas City, he's their best running back. And there's been times where they want to keep, going Isaiah Pacheco, go in that direction. But then, eventually as the game settles in, it's been Kareem Hunt getting all those short yardage carries and getting the carries because he has a knack for picking up that 3rd and 1 or the 4th and 1 if they decide to go on it. But I think Kareem Hunt is a better running back than Isaiah Pacheco at this point. I don't think that's a big difference for the Chiefs playing the Bills at all.
Jay, it's one of those years where, all right, the NFC Championship game is going to be on. I don't know, if Bills fans are going to be fully dialed in. They're going to be getting everything. And same thing with the Chiefs, but I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you for who you liked in that game. I think we'd all be excited for something new, but to go into Philadelphia for Washington, is that too much to ask? How do you view this matchup?
Well, Philadelphia is very good. I know that people are looking for, Jalen Hurts to throw for 300 yards a game or whatever, but that team is so solid. And with Dallas Goedert, doing what he's doing at the tight end position, and Saquon Barkley, I mean, outside of quarterbacks, I can't think of a better positional player in the NFL than what he's been doing. Washington's been the surprise team, and Dan Quinn, the hat backwards and everything, coaching that team. I thought they'd win the division this year. They didn't. Obviously, Philadelphia won it, but I thought they'd be good. And, going back, I do a lot of the draft coverage, of course, in Kansas City. I thought Jaden Daniels is better than Caleb Williams. And said as much, on the draft show. I said Chicago's making a huge mistake because they're going to pull a Trubisky over Mahomes deal again because they picked Trubisky over Patrick Mahomes. So they're doing it again because they're going to take Caleb Williams, and Jaden Daniels is the truth. That guy is so good in what he does in situational football. He's so smart. And there's a reason why he won the Heisman Trophy, a reason why he was so damn good. But I do like Philadelphia to win the game. I think it's not quite Washington's time yet, but next year, look out for them. Can they beat Philadelphia? 100% they could beat them. And I know Philly hasn't been playing great, but they just keep winning. And there's something about that team, with the infighting or you name it, they just find a way to win. And if A.J. Brown brings his book on the sideline, which he will, hey, it's been good luck for him.
What's the most interesting Super Bowl matchup you can conjure up?
Obviously, Kansas City and Washington, even though a lot of people thought it was going to be Kansas City and Detroit, but, well, now they've lost both their coordinators, so how good are they going to be going forward? I think Kansas City and Washington, obviously Washington would be the team that everybody would go with nationally. I just don't want to see the Eagles again. We've already seen the 49ers twice in the Super Bowl. This will be twice in the Super Bowl against Philly. And if Buffalo wins, I want to see Buffalo play Washington. I think that would be fun. I think whoever wins this game, I think if Buffalo wins this game, I think they're the Super Bowl champions, to be honest with you. I think they're if they do beat the Chiefs, they will win the Super Bowl. I don't think that's a question. I guess it is a question because weird things happen in the NFL. But I think Buffalo and Washington, or Kansas City and Washington, because I'm tired of seeing Philadelphia. Not that I think they're very good. I think they're going to go to the Super Bowl, to be honest with you. And I felt that way for a long time, just the way that Sirianni's got this team playing. But I will tell you this much: Washington is they're on the come up, man. This team's going to be a very good team in the future. But I think a lot of people would pick Buffalo or would be rooting for Buffalo if they won this game because, I mean, we've had different polls and stuff before, like who's the next quarterback that's going to win? Who, besides Mahomes, who's going to be the next quarterback to win? And obviously there's a lot of arguments between maybe Burrow or Allen before the season started. And it was Josh Allen. That's been the consensus of who's going to win that next title besides Mahomes.
Jay, I'm going to leave you with this note. This is Mike writing into us. You can write to us on X, the Fan Rochester, our handle. The vibes in the sports bar need to be high until last call, 6 o'clock Friday. Bring in Binkley or whoever. The Bills are one game away from going to the Super Bowl, and I feel it in my veins.
Well, you do, and it's a fun team. No, I knew this was going to happen. I told you guys we will see you again in the postseason, and I mean that. And everybody thinks that, you don't like Buffalo, you only like the Chiefs. That's not true. I respect the Buffalo Bills and what they're doing. They're a great football team, and Josh Allen's a tremendous quarterback. I love watching him play. He's unbelievable talent, and it's fun to watch. It's going to be a good game. This is going to be a good game. Buffalo does a lot of things, obviously, that hurts the Chiefs. They just do. And, with Dalton Kincaid and everything else, I mean, this team is, again, it's not like with a bunch of flash. They just find a way to get the job done. That's one thing about Buffalo. They find a way to do it. Although that defense at times has been a little scary for the Bills, you don't need to remind you that. The Houston Texans, I felt like, had a better secondary that they saw last week. But as far as that offense of Buffalo, it's tough to beat that.
Jay, it's great having you on with us, man. Enjoy the rest of the week. Enjoy Sunday, and we'll be listening for you at 96.5 The Fan in Kansas City and the free-to-download Odyssey app, man. All the best.
Yeah, I look forward to talking to you guys. If the Bills win, I'll be rooting for them in the Super Bowl, obviously, but they got to get through Kansas City first, but I can't wait. This is guys, we went 21 years without even a playoff win before the streak started, back when they won in 2014 with Alex Smith over the Texans, only to be pounced by the Patriots the next week. They went 21 years without a playoff win. So this is they haven't been to an AFC title game except this last 7 straight, except for that time they went to Buffalo and lost in January of '94 when the Chiefs went there and lost the Bills. But then it was 21 years without a playoff win. So it's been tough, but it's been fun watching these the title games each and every year.
Jay, appreciate you, and hope to talk to you Monday after a Buffalo Bills victory.
There it is.
Yeah, send some of that great Rochester beer over my way.
You got it. You get some 3 heads, Jay. Take care of yourself, bud.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks.
Jay Binkley. Oh, was that so bad? We got some insight there.
It's funny, though. Maybe we do this, too. The perceived slight. Like, yes, it's true that Emmanuel Acho said you have no talent. Does it really matter? I mean, like, but it's working for the Bills. But to hear, it's a little twisted to say we're disrespected because you're talking about officiating. Like, that was a topic this week. We can't deny that. But how is that disrespecting the Chiefs if we're talking about NFL officiating?
I think this falls under the category of, like, what more could you possibly ask for if you're the Chiefs? And you're saying you're disrespected. It's like LeBron. It's like LeBron saying that he feels disrespect. It's
you will respect me.
Like, don't, LeBron. At worst, you're the second best player in the history of the game. At worst. How much more respect do we need to pile on you? You're the Kansas City Chiefs going for your 3rd straight Super Bowl, a feat that has never been done. How much more respect do you need? And you got a team that's going in there that has lost to you in this moment, in these situations before, without that fear lingering over their head of what happens if we lose. I kind of like the attitude. I kind of like how they're going into Arrowhead. And we've been saying it pretty much all season. It just feels different. It feels different. It feels more grown up. It feels more mature. It feels like the quarterback is playing out of his mind. He's not overthinking things.
No, like Jay bringing up the topic in one of those talking head shows, are the Chiefs boring? Hey, the Bills are putting up 30 points, but it's not Josh Allen rocket arm downfield. It not since week 1. It hasn't been Josh Allen jumping over defenders. It's just been winning football. This is how teams that win, we're going to just hold on to the ball, and we're going to impose our will. And if we need Josh Allen, the question is this going to be the week you actually need Josh Allen?
Well, it's nice to know that you can break glass in case of emergency, and Superman will show up if you need him to show up. We haven't needed to see it a ton, but when you did see it through the course of the season, it's like, oh, yeah, it's still there. It's still there. And it'll get unlocked when it needs to get unlocked. Can't wait. Sunday's going to be a lot of fun. We'll have pregame coverage for you all Sunday afternoon. We go for the national point of view from Bart Winkler, Infinity Sports Network, late nights. He'll be stopping by the sports bar here in about a half an hour or so. Appreciate Jay stopping by. We'll take some of your calls as well if you want to pull up a stool at 866-4326. 585-8664-FAN.
Taking care of your Buffalo Bills fix. W239BF Rochester, the sports leader. 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan, Rochester, an Odyssey sports station. The Fan, Rochester, sports update.
Taylor Rapp, Deion Dawkins did not practice today. I didn't know about Dawkins. He has an illness. Christian Benford, Matt Milano, limited. Josh Allen talking about facing the Chiefs again.
It's like a division game. I feel like we've played them just as much as we've played the guys in our division. And, with that comes familiarity, new wrinkles here and there throughout the game. But, they know who we are. We know who they are. And it literally just comes down to who executes well on Sunday.
Pre-game coverage of the AFC Championship game begins Sunday at 2 here on The Fan. Bart Winkler, Infinity Sports Network, joins us later this hour. The New York Jets have hired Lions defensive coordinator Aaron Glenn as their new head coach. Jacksonville firing GM Trent Baalke. Rochester Americans back on the road Friday. First stop, Providence. Gene Battaglia, the sports leader. 95.7 FM and AM 950. The Fan, Rochester.
The Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia.
With everything on the line and the chance for the Bills to go to the Super Bowl. I mean, this feels like the best chance for the Bills to finally dethrone the Chiefs.
Mike Danger.
We all have Chiefs fatigue. The whole country outside of Missouri is rooting for the Bills this week. The Bills have a very important job. It has to stop. And it can stop. It can stop with a win on Sunday. They can end it all. They can end the season for the Chiefs.
Gene Battaglia.
Do we really want to subject ourselves to another Super Bowl with Kansas City? This is the team that has tormented the Buffalo Bills. This is the team that you lost to in the AFC Championship game in the 2020 season. So, hey, if you want to be the man, you actually have to beat the man coming up Sunday.
They're on the precipice of the Super Bowl. This team could win the Super Bowl. Could be a championship team. We got to be a championship team here in the Sports Bar, Gino.
This is it, folks.
That's right.
We're serving the audience.
And we do encourage you to call if you dare.
95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan, Rochester.
Welcome back into the Sports Bar. It's Danger and Battaglia. We're glad you're with us. Appreciate you listening however you may be doing so. Of course, if you're driving around locally at 95.7 FM, AM 950, you can hear us in the free-to-download Odyssey app or your smart device when you ask it to play 95.7 The Fan. You can watch the Sports Bar. We're streaming on our YouTube channel at The Fan Rochester, streaming on Twitch at The Fan Rochester as well. Big thanks to Jay Binkley from 96.5 The Fan in Kansas City, our Odyssey Sports sister station, for spending some time with us and letting us know that the Kansas City Chiefs feel disrespected. Hey, you know what? Maybe that's the fuel they need. I mean, we were talking about that last week with the Bills, right? Like, they need that chip. They want that chip. I think teams that carry that chip and know how to use that energy for the positive win more football games.
Well, I think the Bills have a right, considering how many people, yourself included, just pictured this team, okay, you're not making the postseason.
I really struggled with the dead cap number. What we saw at training camp was what we saw at training camp. What I saw at training camp didn't look like what we had seen in years past. There was less flash. There was less, I don't know, just like explosions. You know what I mean? Like less.
Right. Does that matter? Oh, and then, okay, then we get to the Orchard Park portion of training camp, and then Matt Milano goes down.
That's
like,
right.
Oh, no.
That's right. So, yeah, I mean, I think there are a lot of people on the national and local level that didn't have a lot of belief that a team carrying that much dead cap with what appeared to be less talent on the roster after, I mean, remember being on the air when they got rid of all of those guys? It was a sweeping change. I don't know that Brandon Beane knows any other way other than just to clear the decks and let's build it back up. But it was Trey White and Mitch Morse, and we knew that Gabe Davis was going to leave. It was Hoyer and Hyde and everybody. And I'm forgetting people. It was significant. And here we are.
Here we are. Jay Binkley said, just texted me back, I hope I was fair. I tried to be fair.
I thought he was fine today.
I thought he was fine.
I thought
other than oh, come on, you're not being disrespected. You're confusing fatigue with disrespect.
I think the majority of the country will be pulling for Buffalo. I think the majority of the country will be pulling for Washington. I think there's Chiefs fatigue, and I think a Chiefs-Eagles Super Bowl would be the least interesting option out of all the options that are available to you for your Super Bowl entertainment.
Well, you could point to the TV numbers. I'll listen to that. But, again, what is the Super Bowl, really? It's beyond the football fan. It pulls in a different audience. That's why the NFL really likes one of their players dating Taylor Swift, okay?
Yeah.
So I'm not confusing football fans being behind the Chiefs with whatever number they're going to pull in on this game.
I know you had some stuff to share before we get to Bart Winkler from the Infinity Sports Network. He's going to be joining us here in about 15 minutes or so. You can hear him late nights here on The Fan.
Yeah, it's just one of those things that this used to be kind of our lead topic when it came around. Oh, my gosh, Mel Kiper has his
the
first
draft.
mock draft out. I mean, gosh, we haven't even spent a second on it, so here comes 20 seconds on it. Ready? The Titans at 1. They're going to take Cam Ward, according to Kiper. Cleveland at 2, going with Colorado's Travis Hunter. Aha, that means the Giants will get Shedeur Sanders at 3. Why is all this funny to me? Because this serves as a reminder that the dumbass Patriots pick at 4. You should have fired Mr. Mayo instead of going all out against the Buffalo Bills. For the record, New England at 4 in this mock. They're still going to get a stud in Penn State pass rusher Abdul Carter. Yes, the Patriots have a quarterback, but look, the trade capital New England forfeited. Could you imagine going from 1 to 2 or 1 to 3? You still would have had Carter and maybe a number 1 next year. Thank you very much for beating the Buffalo Bills in Week 18.
I don't want to laugh at the Patriots because if they get Abdul Carter, they may be the ones laughing.
I don't think he goes to 4.
You think he gets picked before 4?
If the Giants are going with best player. See, this is where it gets wonky. Because does Brian Dable, Joe Shane, hey, we're going to draft the rookie quarterback, but everybody knows you need time to develop a quarterback. You can't fire us. Does that factor in at 3? If the Giants are being honest, Carter should be the pick at 3. Imagine Carter and Thibodeau together.
We're going to have a lot of time to talk about the draft. I'm glad we're not talking about the draft with frequency. In fact, if you want to peek behind what it's like, if you're a Bills fan and you want to know what it's like to be a fan of a team who's not in the postseason, I was aroused listening to Ben Johnson's introductory press conference from Hallis Hall today.
Too much information.
I can't help myself. I'm sorry. I mean, I'm smitten, Gene. I am absolutely over the moon. Check back with me a year from now, and we'll see how everything looks. But today, they got it right. It feels like they got it right, and we're picking at 10. So I don't know who's left there at 10, but let's find out what the offensive line is all about. Let's get that straight.
Before we get to we have the Jacksonville story we're kind of tracking.
Yes.
So right now, Jeremy Fowler's on ESPN. He put this out a little while ago. So you had the one report since Cohen, the offensive coordinator at Tampa, said, yeah, you know what? I'm not coming back for a second interview. I'm good. Whether you can correlate that directly to Trent Baalke getting fired today, most of us are. Well, where do the Jaguars now go for a head coach? They don't have a GM. Well, the first report was that Robert Saleh is coming back for another interview. Okay, fine. That was expected. Fowler saying that now a top target is Joe Brady.
Oh, wait, here we go. Okay. Hey, quick non-sports take before we go back to Jacksonville. Your kids were off from school today, most likely. Not because of snow. We can't call it a snow day anymore, right? It's a cold day. And I don't wish anybody have to stand outside waiting for a school bus for, however long because it's cold outside. I didn't want to get up and get outside today too. But I do love how, and this has always been this way, right? Where you have a cold day and the first thing you do when you have a cold day is you go outside. The kids want to go outside. My nephew comes over with a giant bag of all of his outdoor gear ready to go outside. And I'm like, buddy, it's a cold day. You're not in school. Doesn't matter. Get out there, kid. Get out there and enjoy the time. And hopefully you had the chance to enjoy some time if you have little ones, if you have kids home from school, even if you had to go outside in the bitter cold. Don't you find amusement in what's happening down south? I mean, luckily, it doesn't look like anybody's gotten hurt or there hasn't been any loss of life or anything like that. But just the mismanagement, not being able to deal with a dusting of snow, less than an inch of snow, shutting down everything. I'm like, I want to call us soft for taking a cold day. I mean, that's a different level down there.
That's a different level, and I don't know if it's exactly safe. Maybe that's also part of the equation. So,
yeah. Well, if they're not equipped for it, they're just not equipped for it. I have the statement from Jags owner Shad Khan. Will you allow me to read this on the air? Because I find it amusing.
Amusing? What? He's not going to. Come on, I can predict what he's going to say. We want to thank Trent for all of his work. It came to me. I came to the realization we need to go in a different direction. Thank you very much, and we're going to hire the best guy. Something like that?
Following several discussions with Trent Baalke this week, we both arrived at the conclusion that it's in our mutual best interest to respectfully separate, effective immediately, Trent leaves us with my deepest appreciation for his efforts, over the past 5 seasons. Ethan Wall will serve as interim general manager and play an important role with others as we continue the process of interviewing candidates. Serves, as our new head coach. I'm deeply committed to building a winner here in Jacksonville and look forward to introducing a new head coach who will make that happen for our players and fans alike. Jags owner Shad Khan.
Was that you or Shad Khan making those farts?
Baalke.
Baalke.
It was Baalke.
Oh, it's Baalke.
Baalke's in the back. He's penning his own statement. Trent Baalke, when reached for a statement about being let go from the Jacksonville Jaguars, had this to say.
How many people in sports? I can think of one that if you say their name, they're known for a fart in public. Well, Trent Baalke being one.
He's a guy.
I can think of another.
Oh, it was wasn't he with Baalke in San Francisco?
Yes, Jim Tomsula.
Jim Tomsula was just a sweat hog.
He ripped one, but he didn't own it, though. He just kind of made a little face and kind of kept on going. Everybody just, wait, did you just do what I thought you did?
Yeah. No, he did. He did. That guy was a pig. That poor guy. Like, that man has to command a room full of men. And he's just drenched from head to toe, just dripping in sweat. Can you imagine how bad that locker room smelled? I can't. I don't want to think about it. And Baalke was the GM at the time, wasn't he?
Yes.
Just a couple of fart bags.
The cheese in San Francisco tastes delicious, and maybe you're just indulging yourself a little bit, maybe a little too many beers. What?
That's unbelievable. That's the bit of breaking news, and if you're just joining us, Aaron Glenn, the new head coach for the New York Jets as well.
So no Trent Baalke in Jacksonville, no Mr. Mayo in New England? Like, we're losing all our faves here in the sports bar.
I know, and now it remains to be seen the moves that get made here in order to try and compete with the Buffalo Bills. And New England looks competent, right? Vrabel is a good hire by all accounts. Bringing back McDaniels is a smart move by all accounts. We want to believe, everybody wants to believe that Drake May is their quarterback. We'll see. The Patriots might be, going into next season, the second best team. If they get the pass rush, if they get Carter,
yep,
that would be encouraging.
To spend too.
Yeah, that would be encouraging. Everybody else, the Jets and the Dolphins, we got to see what happens here this offseason. But another defensive-minded head coach for the Jets.
So Schefter tallied this up. Since 2000, they've hired 7 head coaches, and that number we're not scoffing at. The Bills have just as many, if not more. 6 of the 7 have been defensive-minded. They come with a defensive coordinator background, and the only guy who was an OC was one of the worst head coaches of all time.
Yeah.
Not just for the Jets, ever. Yeah. And Adam Gase.
Yeah. A guy who looked like he murdered his pets.
Adam Gase, remember running, number 12 as mono.
Yeah.
Terrible.
Oh, he was bad. He ruined Sam Darnold.
Yeah.
Ruined Sam Darnold. This was an interesting footnote to Glenn getting hired by the Jets. The Lions now receive a third-round pick in 2025 and a third-round pick in 2026 for losing Glenn. Those are slotted at the end of the third round after all the other compensatory choices are made. There's a couple of teams that have benefited from this, a minority being elevated to a head coaching position. The Niners, when they lost D'Amico Ryans and Rand Carthen, and the Rams, who lost Raheem Morris, all have comp picks remaining for minority hires from other teams.
Boy, how do we feel about the Lions next year?
TBD.
Yeah.
It's a giant TBD.
That division is so good.
They have talent, though, man. That line is still elite. You're getting back a guy who is having an unbelievable year rushing the passer in Hutchinson. Jahmyr Gibbs is electric. Amon-Ra St. Brown is fantastic. Goff needs to protect the football a little bit better. Goff needs to be better. But and this will be a test for Dan Campbell. Are you real or are you a fraud? Are you as real as it gets or are you a fraud? Who's coming in to work with that guy and how does it all work? How does it all come? I have a hard time believing Dan Campbell's, the egghead that's, scheming up the offense the way Ben Johnson did.
No, but I think there's different sides that Dan Campbell we don't see. Like for Dan Campbell, breaking kneecaps, I'm tough. You didn't win 2 division titles back to back and turn this whole thing around. He knew how to set the culture, but now just like how Buffalo's at this hurdle here, how can Detroit get over the hurdle?
For the Bills today, at their walkthrough, Taylor Rapp missing it today. Christian Benford, Matt Milano, both limited. Benford is in concussion protocol, as we already knew, and Milano dealing with a hamstring soreness. Deion Dawkins excused. He was ill. So for the most part, it looks like the Bills healthy-ish. If Rapp can't go, we'll see plenty of Cole Bishop, it would appear. And quarterback Anthony Brown waived from the Bills practice squad in favor of Gene's guy, Eli Anku.
Yeah. I guess he's become my guy, right? Because I'm the one, I'm like, I like whenever I see him on the field.
Makes plays.
Yeah.
We get a little national perspective on the AFC Championship game next. Bart Winkler, who you hear late nights here on the Fan Rochester.
Can you imagine if Bart's listening to I'm the guys who are doing Trent Baalke fart jokes.
Oh, I think Bart appreciates that. I think Bart's one of the guys that actually, would be like, yeah, that's not bad. Who's your producer? Bart Winkler, Infinity Sports Network, stops by the sports bar next on the Fan Rochester.
95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan, Rochester.
Join Mark Patrick Seminars. Lose the weight, stop smoking. Early bird special, $49.99. Seminar Sunday, February 2nd, RIT Inn and Conference Center, Henrietta. Weight loss, 11 a.m. Stop smoking seminar, 2 p.m. Or Monday, February 3rd, Hilton Garden Inn, Pittsford. Weight loss, 5:30 p.m. Stop smoking seminar, 8 p.m.
The Fan, Rochester. Sports Update.
From practice today, which was just a walkthrough, Taylor Rapp, Deion Dawkins did not participate. Dawkins with an illness. Christian Benford, Matt Milano were limited. Head coach Sean McDermott on this familiar opponent and setting.
And we've played each other multiple times now. Initially when we first arrived here, we played in 2017, my first season out there, and then there was a gap in there of time. And then it seems like, when you have two good teams, two good organizations, that you kind of see each other frequently now. So we've a lot of respect for them.
Pre-game coverage of the AFC Championship game begins at 2 this Sunday here on The Fan. We'll talk to Bart Winkler, Infinity Sports Network, coming up next year in the Sports Bar. The New York Jets have a new head coach. He's Aaron Glenn, the former Lions defensive coordinator. The Jaguars have fired GM Trent Baalke. Gene Battaglia in the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
Pull up a stool and join us. 585-866-4FAN. 866-432-6. The Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia on the Sports Leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan, Rochester.
There was some soreness afterwards, but I don't know if it's an injury or not. It's just, what I'm being told is hamstring soreness, and so he'll be limited today with that.
Bills head coach Sean McDermott giving an update on linebacker Matt Milano coming off a great game against the Baltimore Ravens. And I bring up the injuries, Gino, because the Chiefs just put out their injury report, and everybody practiced for the Chiefs today. They're healthy. Bills are healthy-ish as we welcome in Bart Winkler, who you hear late nights on the Fan Rochester from the Infinity Sports Network. It's always good having you on to talk some NFL, buddy. Appreciate the time. And here we are. It's Bills and it's Chiefs, which I believe, and you're on the national platform, so you probably have a better sense of this than we do here in Western New York. I believe it's probably 97, 98% of the country that wants to see Buffalo win this game come Sunday night?
I don't know what you're listening to. This is Chiefs country, my guys. We want the three-peat, baby. No, you're right. You're absolutely right. No, I'm just being stupid.
Well, you know what? Before we talk, I got to give Bart credit. Bart, you crack me up. I got to know, how was the Bucks parade for the NBA Cup? Because I know you were there. I know it was a big deal. Can you paint a picture for us, as they say?
I was the only one there. I had my own parade. I don't know. It was a competition and they won it. Why's everybody got to clown this thing? It's a stupid tournament, but if you're in it, you gotta embrace the stupid, is what I'm learning. So I embraced it, but I was the only one there.
Bart going out at 2 a.m. local time, Milwaukee, abandoned downtown. Here I am. Yeah. Where's everybody? Bart, we're high on the Bills here, and I don't want you to just kind of blow smoke at us. I mean, is this going to be different this year? Does this feel different? Or is this just the team in Kansas City that Buffalo's just not going to get by?
Well, I don't know. I'm optimistic that the Bills can do it. I do think that there is a different feeling to Buffalo. I think in watching that game on Sunday, it kind of felt like the Ravens were playing the role of the Bills the last few years, and the Bills were playing the role of the Chiefs, where in these kind of battles, I don't think the Bills can make a single mistake. And I don't think they really did the other night. The Ravens made several. You can't make a single mistake, and especially against the Chiefs team, who I don't know if this is the best Chiefs team. I don't think it is. And this may be maybe it is the biggest gap between talent on the Bills and talent on the Chiefs. I think the Bills are a better team. But the Chiefs, and this is what I've been harping on all year, is I think they have figured out what they are best at, and that is winning games by one score. It's not scoring 30 points. They barely, if ever, do that. It's not, holding teams to under 10 points. They barely, if ever, do that. It's to winning these games 23-17. It's to having these slow prodding games where they play a little field position, get field goals when they need to, get touchdowns when they need to, and then at the end you put the ball in Patrick Mahomes' hands, and it's a 3rd and 12, and the whole stadium is ready. This is finally going to be it, and he scrambles for 13. I think they've figured out exactly how to win these kind of games. I think there's been a lot of discussion about the referees. Houston's upset as now it happened to them. The referees, there's no script. There's no we got to get Taylor Swift in the Super Bowl. We already did that. So that's not happening again. But there is a factor of the referees in these games, and that's that the Chiefs have figured out, okay, in these close kind of games, what are the margins? What are the margins in close games? Turnovers, weather, field position. Oh, the referees. So let's use that to our advantage. Patrick Mahomes on that play where the two Texans collided heads together the other day, and then there was a foul on them for roughing Mahomes, even though he was unharmed. He could have gone out of bounds easily twice, but he was sort of dancing around the middle of the field, waiting for guys to converge on him, which he then fell, and then two Texans crash test dummied each other, and that's by design. So this kind of stuff is what you're going to have to fight against. It's not luck. It's not, rigged. It's a very detailed preparation that the Chiefs have figured out, in my opinion, and I think that's what Buffalo's going to need to overcome. And I think this version of the Bills is more equipped of that than they have been in any of these previous years. So, I mean, it is my hope that they win. It is the nation's hope that they win. Please, please, please win. Other than that, we can only wait and see what happens.
Well, it's funny, Bart. You mentioned all those things about Kansas City, and if I didn't know you were talking about the Chiefs, I could say you're talking about the Bills, because winning one-score games used to be a thing that was tough for the Buffalo Bills. They didn't win a lot of one-score games. Now they do it with regularity, and they do score 30 points a game. And you do have a quarterback, like you're describing with Mahomes, who can take advantage of the opportunities that exist for quarterbacks in terms of how the game is officiated. We've seen him do it almost as much as Mahomes. I think Mahomes is probably still the best at it. And you mentioned a game last week where they didn't make any mistakes, and the Ravens looked more like the Bills than the Ravens. I mean, the Bills could go into Arrowhead. Could they go into Arrowhead and out-Chiefs the Chiefs? I mean, it really could come down to who has the ball last or stealing that possession if you get the coin toss at the beginning and you defer.
That is the only way to do it. The exact phrase, you have to out-Chiefs the Chiefs, because they are not, I mean, what, they win 15 games and there was that gimme at the end of the season. It's not a 15-win football team. The talent-wise, they are not a 15-win football team. But preparation and manipulation and the margins, that's how they got the 15 wins. So all year long, we're trying to figure out, well, who's better than the Chiefs? Is it the Bills? Is it the Ravens? Is it the Lions? And, talent this, talent that, who's winning? They're finding ways to win. So you do have to out-Chief the Chiefs, as stupid as it might be. And I thought that all season long, I thought the Chiefs could get got in the playoffs, but I thought it would be one of these teams that junked it up. I thought it'd be like a Steelers that could do it, or like a Broncos that could do it. But it's got to be Buffalo. It's got to be the team that has been against them time in and time out. This has to be Jordan beating the Pistons and the fourth crack at it. This has to be this. And so here's another thing with the referees, if I may, because I do think that there is human element in the game, and I don't think that the referees, please, have not taken a single penny in any way, shape, or form for the Kansas City Chiefs to win. But when they get on that field and they've got Andy Reid and they've got Patrick Mahomes and they got Arrowhead, they've got years and years and years of, okay, we don't want to anger these guys. We don't want to call this play. We don't want to do whatever. And I'm not saying that the refs are going to start to feel bad, okay, or give Buffalo a freebie. But if there was ever a game where they were really looking at, okay, if the Chiefs are going to win, we got to make sure it's not because of us. We gotta make sure it's because their own accord. We don't want to be the story on Monday morning. It's going to be this game where Buffalo's riding high. Buffalo's finally got the chance to Cody Rhodes finish their story. It's got to be this game. So I think the biggest factor that the refs could have is their desire to be a non-factor. And if that's the case, I think that affects the Chiefs more than it does Buffalo.
Bart Winkler, I guess, Infinity Sports Network. Bart, if we can go down this path for a second, because I guess baseball does this with the extra umps in the outfield, but this was a Bills-Texans playoff game. This is Josh Allen's first playoff game, and it's a second-half kickoff, and Houston makes a mental mistake, and they let the ball bounce in the end zone. Buffalo recovers, then all of a sudden these shadow officials come out. It's like these officials that were overriding. I don't know if you remember this or not, but it's the trust factor we have in officiating that, hey, we get to this point in the season, we don't exactly fully trust the officials out there. We have to have these guys dressed in black on the sideline in case something disastrous should happen in a game, and that doesn't exactly build trust with an audience.
Well, I don't think that I think bringing in more officials, and I think the whole design of that is, okay, we really want to get it right, and these are the games that determine a championship. I don't, on principle, like that there's a difference between regular season and playoffs in anything. I don't like that it's different in overtime. I don't like that it's different when you bring in different officials. I don't like that baseball changes the rule in the playoffs. I don't like any part of that. So I don't like that. And you're right. There's a lot of things that the NFL has done inadvertently to maybe get people to want to think conspiracy. And that's really like the only way that it makes sense what Kansas City's doing. Because I know we lived through the Patriots dynasty, and we lived through, we're living through the Chiefs dynasty. And I hear these coaches, and John Harbaugh was talking about it this week with the Ravens. He said, this is hard. This is hard to do. You can't just get to the Super Bowl every year. And he is right. He is right. Dan Campbell said that this is hard. It's so hard. Buffalo knows that. It's so very hard. But it's hard to have that argument when somebody is doing it. It's hard to say this is impossible when somebody's making it very, very possible. And because we know it's hard, and because we know how difficult it is, but because someone's doing it, we think, well, there's no way they're doing it unless there's some sort of fix in, because we need that to explain the travesty of these losses year in and year out to the same team. So I understand why there might be some apprehension, but I do think and they're not going to be like, oh, that's pass interference, I'm not going to call it because, it's a big game. But I do think they're going to be more meticulous in the kind of stuff they call. I say that now knowing that the first touchdown drive, Kansas City will have a BS pass interference and does go up 7-0. So I apologize for that.
Bart, do us a favor. Rank, in your opinion, least interesting to most interesting potential Super Bowl matchups.
Okay. I think the one that everybody wants is Bills Commanders, and there would be a Buffalo Washington rematch from however many decades ago. I think though the Chiefs getting back there is interesting. It may not be desired, but it is interesting. The week won't be interesting. The media day won't be interesting. The coverage won't be interesting. The game itself will be interesting to see if they can do a three-peat. But I don't think that anybody wants that. So the Eagles winning would be interesting against the Chiefs again, because that's a recent rematch. I think Buffalo needs to get back there. I think that we need to see the guy who's been getting beat up year in and year out. We need to see them get over this hump. Washington's got a rookie quarterback. Rookie quarterbacks never won a Super Bowl. So I think the one that we want would be, I want to say the most interesting, but I don't want to take away what would be compelling and interesting about a three-peat possibly happening. Although I'll have you know that the Green Bay Packers did win 2 Super Bowls the year after they also won an NFL championship. So technically they won 3 titles in a row.
No, that's a technicality. It's a technicality. We're not counting.
No.
In a row.
Who did Green Bay beat in the first Super Bowl? You know the answer to this.
Well, that would be the Chiefs.
Yeah, and the Chiefs in Kansas City beat Buffalo. This goes back to Super Bowl I. You didn't even call it the Super Bowl back then on the AFC Championship game. It wasn't even AFC. It was the AFL back then. Bart Winkler, Infinity Sports Network, our guest here. Bart, what makes me, I don't want to say maybe nervous, a lot of Bills fans nervous, certainly, if this gets close at the end. We've seen Sean McDermott, 13 seconds. We've seen him this year where, hey, you're playing this back-and-forth game against the Rams, and wait a second, that's not – you don't run on that play. You have to on the goal line. You just wasted a timeout, and, that might have cost the Bills a game. Are we seeing, though, overall a different Sean McDermott? Has he taken that next step, or, is this just kind of more of the same?
Again, I feel like this whole team is a bit different. There does seem to be a different level of confidence, whether it's aura or just a level of belief. And what we've seen in these playoffs is what I always say is that any time they lose, you can pinpoint, you pinpoint, who'd you pinpoint on the Ravens last week? Mark Andrews, Lamar. Okay, I don't know where Harbaugh comes in on that list. They went for 2, but But it's other guys. Whenever Buffalo loses, I think you pinpoint, well, Sean McDermott did this, and so Buffalo lost. And I think he had an opportunity to do that again last week. They kicked the field goal, which I liked. I liked that move. It's always like the field goal, 4th down, it's like, what is your gut feel? And then what I always say is the only analytics that you need in sports, the only thing you need is what does the other team not want me to do? And I'll do that. Because they could have gone for it, missed it, then they're only down 5. They make a field goal. Okay, now we need to score, 2-point conversion. So whenever you're thinking, what should we do here? Don't think about what should we do here. Think about what does the other team not want us to do. That's the only analytics you need. I hope it doesn't come down to that. I know Bills fans are going to be nervous if they are leading at the end until the final whistle. That is something that, unfortunately, when you become a sports fan, that innocence does go away of prematurely celebrating. I think we've seen that with Atlanta and the 28-3. I certainly was getting ready to try to go to a Super Bowl in 2011 as a fan, or 2014 rather, when the Packers collapsed in the NFC Championship game. I haven't been able to celebrate any game until it's over. If the Bills are leading when the clock hits 000 at the end of the game, I won't even celebrate then. I would wait until the interviews were done. I would wait until the trophy was lifted. I would wait until they were out of the stadium. And I'd probably wake up Monday morning to make sure the results still stood. And then I would celebrate because you just never know with Kansas City. So I know it will come sooner than that, but I could understand if people were a little cautious about a celebration should there be the need for one.
Bart, you don't have to worry about anybody in West New York. When the Bills or our region lose games, they name the game. Wide right, Music City Miracle, 13 seconds. You could throw in, no goal. We have the win game. When the Bills lose, they lose in spectacular fashion. We know here the clock needs to read 0.
Oh, I feel right. A Packer fan. I mean, the onside kick, 4th and 26. Oh. I mean, the block punt against San Francisco. I know where you're at. Matt LaFleur kicking a field goal against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers when they should have gone, trailing that game. I know where you're at as a Packer guy.
Hey, Bart, what about the rest of these head coaching openings that we have in the NFL? We learned today that Aaron Glenn will be going to the Jets. We learned today that Trent Baalke will not be the GM of the Jaguars because partially Liam Cohen won't be going to the Jaguars. Who's out there that's still interesting? Does McCarthy go to New Orleans? I mean, where do you think that all the dominoes kind of fall here with what's left with these openings?
I think that these openings, the teams are hiring the right guys available. It's just a matter of is it going to work, and we're going to find that out. But I think they're hiring the right guys that are available. In the case of Chicago, there's something that I always plead to Chicago head coaches because so many times the head coach will get in and he'll make a joke about, I think Lovie Smith said, we got 2 goals here. We're going to win the Super Bowl, but we're going to beat the Packers. And it's like, stop focusing on just one team. You're never going to win the Super Bowl that way. Ben Johnson today introduced, was like, yeah, I coach in the NFC North. Kevin O'Connell's good, Dan Campbell's good, and I got to tell you, it's nice to beat LaFleur twice a year. So I mean, it's the same kind of let's not be doing that.
Loved it.
I am glad as a Packer fan that I think McCarthy in Chicago could have been something. I really do. I've got a lot more admiration. I might take McCarthy over Matt LaFleur right now, to be completely honest.
Whoa.
I think McCarthy got an unfair shake towards the end there. And I think he did a good enough job in Dallas with the circus that was around him. I would hire him if I'm the Saints, but they're not going to win a Super Bowl. But it's still, it's a respectable coach that can do better. I think that I compare enough. Mike McCarthy and Sean Payton have the exact same resume, but for some reason, we look at Sean Payton taking a team and getting bounced in the first round as a miracle worker, and we look at Mike McCarthy doing that as the dumbest oaf to ever roam a sidelines. So I don't know what that is about. I don't know what Dallas does. They'll probably hem and haw and then hire Kellen Moore and then be unhappy with him for years, as the Dion rumors will continue for another decade. The Saints, like I said, but that situation's a mess. Jacksonville, Robert Saleh, maybe the Raiders. I mean, Tom Brady might as well coach and just have 3 jobs. Nobody really cares that he has 2.
Yeah, right.
So I don't know. It seems like the front runner in all these places is eventually getting these jobs. We'll just see if it ends up working out or not.
Bart Winkler, who you can hear weeknights on our station, and we do not have Sabres hockey, so you'll catch everything tonight. Bart, what's coming up here tonight we can check out?
Oh, I'd love to promote my show, but it's 6 hours away, and if you think I've started prepping by now, you're fooling yourself. So,
my God,
I don't. We're talking football. We're talking football.
That's great, Bart. Appreciate the time as always, man. Let's do it again soon.
All right, thanks, guys. Anytime.
You got it. Bart Winkler joining us from Milwaukee, the Infinity Sportsnet. Hear him later tonight in a fully prepped show starting at 10 o'clock.
He will prep.
Of course he'll prep. It's a pro. Love that guy. Loved everything Ben Johnson said. Loved the little subtle dig at LaFleur. Loved it. Loved it. It's exactly what I want to hear.
You won the press conference.
I know.
You won the press conference.
I know. Let me have January 22nd. Let me have January 22nd. I'm excited. All right, we got to take a break and come back with Happy Hour next. Lots to unpack from what we learned from Jay Binkley earlier today. Kansas City's injury report is squeaky clean. The Bills' injury report, not so much. We'll get into that. Today's walkthrough practice.
We didn't do McDermott McLeise.
We didn't.
We could do that, but, gosh, is there a single McLeod today?
Will
it's the
I be told? Okay, so we'll dive into some of what Coach had to say earlier today from Orchard Park as well. Your phone calls are always welcome at 585-866 for FAN, 866-4326.
Bills, and more Buffalo Bills. Rochester and streaming online and in the Odyssey app at The Fan Rochester, the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan Rochester, an Odyssey sports station. The Fan Rochester Sports Update.
Bills healthy-ish. Taylor Rapp, Deion Dawkins did not practice today. Dawkins with an illness. Christian Benford is in the protocol. He was limited, as was Matt Milano. Josh Allen on facing those Chiefs again.
It's like a division game. I feel like we've played them just as much as we've played the guys in our division. And, with that comes familiarity, new wrinkles here and there throughout the game. But, they know who we are. We know who they are. And it literally just comes down to who executes well on Sunday.
Pre-game coverage of the AFC Championship game begins Sunday at 2 here on The Fan. The New York Jets have hired Lions defensive coordinator Aaron Glenn as their new head coach. Jacksonville today firing their general manager, Trent Baalke. Rochester Americans play in New England this weekend. First stop, Providence on Friday night. Gene Battaglia, the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan Rochester.
The Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia.
With everything on the line and the chance for the Bills to go to the Super Bowl. I mean, this feels like the best chance for the Bills to finally dethrone the Chiefs.
Mike Danger.
We all have Chiefs fatigue. The whole country outside of Missouri is rooting for the Bills this week. The Bills have a very important job. It has to stop. And it can stop. It can stop with a win on Sunday. They can end it all. They can end the season for the Chiefs.
Gene Battaglia.
Do we really want to subject ourselves to another Super Bowl with Kansas City? This is the team that has tormented the Buffalo Bills. This is the team that you lost to in the AFC Championship game in the 2020 season. So, hey, if you want to be the man, you actually have to beat the man coming up Sunday.
They're on the precipice of the Super Bowl. This team could win the Super Bowl. Could be a championship team. We got to be a championship team here in the Sports Bar, Gino.
This is it, folks.
That's right.
We're serving the audience.
And we do encourage you to call if you dare.
95.7 FM and AM 950 The Fan, Rochester.
It is happy hour in the Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia. We appreciate you stopping by as we continue to prepare you for Sunday in the AFC Championship game. Buffalo Bills traveling to Kansas City to take on the Chiefs. We appreciate you listening, however you may be doing so. 95.7 FM, AM 950, the free-to-download Odyssey app. We're on your smart device when you ask it to play 95.7 The Fan. Our video stream is up on our YouTube channel at The Fan Rochester, streaming on Twitch at The Fan Rochester as well. If you're watching the stream, I'm slightly embellishing for effect, but it is damn cold in here today. It's damn cold outside. Many of you have kids staying home from school today because of the cold temperatures, and we've been very vocal about not having heat in our studio for the better part of 3 months.
I put it up there. Soft or justified?
I know it comes off as soft. I get it. The Greg gave us that thermometer. I think it's like it was at 60 during the break. If you put it on my side over here closer to the windows, I'm fairly certain it would be a little bit chillier. I'm cold. I'm downright chilly. We've been in here now for just over 2 hours, and the cold that's outside has kind of started to permeate its way into the studio.
I think I can't prove this, but because there's more people in the morning, and by the time I think the landlord, and our thermostat's busted here, but I think the building danger, they turn it down at night. So we're kind of like, this will go down as the show goes along here, and by the time we get off the air, we'll be below 60.
Well, a lot of the regulars are chiming in on our temperature dilemma here. Greg saying, if you're asking, are you bitches? Yes. But bitches for being in a 60-degree studio where you're not really moving around to generate body heat? No. Okay, this comes from Patrick. In New York State, landlords are required to provide heat to tenants from October 1st to May 31st. The temperature requirements are daytime between 6 a.m. and 10 p.m. The inside temperature must be at least 68 degrees if the outside temperature is below 55. Nighttime between 10 p.m. and 6 a.m., the inside temperature must be at least 62 degrees. We are in violation of New York State protocols, requirements.
Great.
Every single day.
Every single day. Every single day. Like, hey, it's the Odyssey recruitment ad that just ran in the commercial break.
Thanks, Patrick.
Yeah, like, hey, come work for Odyssey. Yeah, if you can work without heat, come join our team.
I know. Funny. Thanks for sharing that, Patrick. That's all we need, Gino. There's Exhibit A.
Oh.
Go present that to the landlords. What are we doing?
Oh, and we're doing some mixer with the landlord. That's how clueless our management is.
Yeah, well,
sorry, we're gonna do a Super Bowl.
No, you know what? Here's what we're gonna do. Here's what we do. New landlords are here, and it's gonna be this fun get together in the foyer of our fancy building that they just bought, and we're gonna be serving up soup and chili and all this stuff. You and we need to show up in like full, like winter garb. I'm talking like we look like we live in igloos. Like I want the fuzzy like rim around the hood, the big thick gloves, big ski boots with the fur, and like really like play it up. Like, well, this is just how we come to work every day. I don't know if you've been in our studio, but yeah, we broadcast.
Yeah, come join us. Sit. You can shadow us.
We broadcast from an igloo every afternoon from 3 until 6. That's what we should do. Just set a tone. The Bills injury front. Sean McDermott earlier today with an update.
So Taylor Rapp will not practice. He's day-to-day is a hip. Christian Benford remains in concussion protocol. He'll be limited with that. And then Matt Milano will be limited as well with some hamstring soreness.
Do we have anything for McDermott McLeod today? Because I'm going to guess this is so serious. And what can you say about the Chiefs? You're not going over the top. You can't say it's a lie. They're great. They have a Hall of Fame quarterback. They have a Hall of Fame
Sure.
No lie. I'm going to say McDermott, no lies today. Will we hear any lies, Mike Danger?
All right, this is Sean McDermott.
How long?
50 seconds.
50 seconds on?
The 2020 AFC Championship.
No lies here.
Yeah, what a change of just, what's going on in our world, with the COVID situation at that time. And I think there were some fans allowed in the stadium, if I remember correctly, and we had some Buffalo representation there as well, even though I think it was limited capacity or limited seating. So this one will be a little bit different, right? So just from a crowd standpoint, and I'm sure we'll have a great number of Buffalo people there as well.
Sean, what does having fans in the away stadium do for you guys in that environment?
Having our own fans there? Oh, it's huge. We've gone on the road. We've played at home. Our fans travel everywhere and anywhere that we play. So we've got the best fans in the NFL and just love. I think that the connection with our fan base, as I've said multiple times over, is unique in the NFL.
So
he did the thing.
The thing being, like, I think the Chiefs are defending champions.
Yeah.
No, we count that as a lie. You're saying, like, no,
Yeah.
How could you forget? Yes, you absolutely knew the stadiums were half full back there.
I think there were some fans there. I don't quite remember. Oh, no. I think we remember. Yeah.
Shame on me for doubting.
Yeah. Well, in terms of how we talked about the Chiefs, no lies told. And I think what you're going to hear is what we, very similar to what we heard last week. I mean, you got to heap praise on your opponent. This is a team that is going for a three-peat. This is a quarterback who is going to be in the Hall of Fame and may be viewed as the best ever when it's all said and done. And you know what? I don't think any of it matters. But you have to say it. Mm-hmm. You have to give them that respect. And man, we'll go back to our conversation with Nate Geary on Monday, and we kind of, in real time, workshopped something that was actually brought up to McDermott during his media availability today is, has this team, are they no longer afraid of losing?
Yeah, we've got to take them one game at a time, just like the regular season, and stick with our process and be consistent with it, quite honestly.
Is it harder to do, though, considering the circumstances and the stakes this time?
I think when you know who you are and you know what works for us, it's a lot easier. If you have to adjust things this time of year, then it gets more difficult, perhaps. But we've been taking the same approach rather consistently all season.
Is this team not afraid to lose? There seems to be a fearlessness about this team.
I mean, it's a mindset, like we've talked about numerous times in here, right? And I think there's some truth to that. In order to win, you can't be afraid to lose, and I think those two go hand in hand.
Well, kind of along with that, the Bills have gotten off to bad starts the last two games. 7-0, both those games. I mean, quickly recovering both times. But, hey, if you fall behind in the opening drive and Kansas City puts up a 7, okay, what?
I don't know that anybody's panicking
over
that. There has been no panic with this team. And look, I think if there is panic, it'll be if the Bills get up to a lead and we're on the edge of our seat. Can they hold on to it? Can the defense just make a stop? Just because, let's face it, against the Ravens, this is a tie game. They gave up a lead, a 2-score lead in the second half to the Ravens if Mark Andrews holds on to that 2-point conversion. And this is not the same defense that the Bills have had in years past. They've got some injuries to have to deal with here. We'll see if Rapp makes it onto the practice field this week. My guess would be no. I mean, he's day-to-day. He was carted off. I wouldn't be surprised if we see Cole Bishop more on Sunday.
I think Milano's going to be fine.
I think Milano will be fine. And I think Benford will be fine, too. I think he'll clear protocol.
Well, they brought in the specialist, didn't they? At least that's what we heard.
Yeah, they have the Bills have the best neuro what's the doctor? Independent
neurologist.
Neurologist,
Yeah.
right, yes. Maybe you've heard of him before?
Hi, everybody. Hi, Dr. Nick.
He's fantastic. So, yeah, Benford, I think, will be okay.
We have Dr. Nick. Philadelphia has Big Dom by the blue tent.
Hey. You ain't all out. Keep moving. Big Dom. I've been asking this of our guests. I don't know that I've asked it of you yet. Give me your top 4. You rank your preference here in terms of interesting Super Bowl matchups.
Oh, I mean, we're completely biased, but it's Bills, right? But
yeah.
Yeah, I would say it's Bills Commanders, far and away. Something new. Bills Eagles, a little different because the if the Commanders lose the Super Bowl, they get there. Wow, we overachieved. Everything's all good. It's okay. Buffalo won, right? Philadelphia just lost a Super Bowl a few times ago, but your curse.
The curse is still right now. It's still intact.
It's not only do they not win a Super Bowl, they don't get back. Correct.
Correct. So the curse that I'm talking about, and this is something that is fact, it has happened since the Four Falls of Buffalo. There hasn't been a single quarterback to make their debut in the Super Bowl and lose to ever make it back to another Super Bowl. And you can look, and I know it sounds ridiculous. It sounds ridiculous to think that a quarterback can't go to the Super Bowl, make his debut, and lose. But historically, since the Kelly-era Bills, since the Four Falls of Buffalo, there hasn't been a quarterback to make a debut in the Super Bowl, lose, and then make it back to the Super Bowl. And going into this postseason, there were 2 quarterbacks that qualified for that. One was Jared Goff. Bye-bye. Mm-hmm. Jalen Hurts is the other. And Jalen Hurts ain't playing really good football right now. Jalen Hurts is missing some wide-open receivers, not making a ton of great plays. Saquon Barkley's been fantastic, but I know that Jalen Hurts is a concern right now in Philadelphia. If he doesn't make it to the Super Bowl, the curse remains. If he makes it to the Super Bowl, the curse has been lifted.
The least desirable is a Kansas City, Philadelphia, I'll say rematch from a couple years ago.
Sure.
That would be.
I think Jaden Daniels and Kansas City is not. I mean, Kansas City going for a three-peat against a rookie quarterback who could make history as well, I guess should be considered interesting, right? Like that would be interesting. So maybe I would put that outcome ahead of a Bills-Eagles Super Bowl. But, man, both the Bills and the Commanders haven't been to the Super Bowl since the 90s. That's interesting. That will get a lot of attention. That will command a lot of eyeballs. And speaking of which, and Binkley brought it up, Jay Binkley from 96.5 The Fan in Kansas City, who joined us in the 3 o'clock hour. There is something to the Chiefs getting eyeballs because last year's divisional round matchup between the Bills and the Chiefs had something around 8 million more viewers, 8 million more eyeballs. I think 42 million was this year's number. It was greater than 50 million last year for the Bills and the Chiefs. I do think that matters. I do think the Chiefs, regardless of what you want to say, from a TV standpoint, I think we know why that is, beyond the fact that they're going for a three-peat. I mean, there's ancillary eyeballs that maybe don't care about the NFL tuning in for something specific. And certainly last year, that was on full display.
Yeah, it's my 21-year-old daughter, Allie, who doesn't like football, but she certainly likes the ancillary stuff. And depending on the ancillary stuff, she'll tune in whether or not she likes it. Yeah. So, your call's welcome. 866-4FAN, 866-4326. As sometimes my brain freezes up here in the studio.
Well, it's a little chilly. It's okay. Let's discuss a couple of news and notes here from a couple of bullet points from the NFL today, because we learned today that the Jets have their man, their new head coach, Aaron Glenn, returning to the team that drafted him in the first round back in, what was it, 2004? No, 94. 94, I'm sorry. 1994. First round pick of the New York Jets. Now the next head coach of the Jets after being the Lions DC for the last 4 seasons. He also was a coach for the Saints, coach for the Browns. He played for 15 years. Respected, defensive-minded head coach going to the Jets.
I'm wondering, do Aaron Glenn and Lance Newmark have the same agent?
Oh.
So who's Lance Newmark? Well, Lance Newmark is the assistant GM in Washington for years. He was there in Detroit. That's the connection. And apparently Lance Newmark, everybody thought he was going to be in line to be the GM. He left New York without a contract today. So I don't know if they're still working that out, but that would be, why would you hire the head coach first? Well, if Glenn and Newman are some sort of package deal, with all these hires, Danger, we learned this with McDermott. You have to reserve judgment until you actually see them in game action. Everything is going to be fine. Your guy in Chicago you should be excited about. But there is a pattern with the Jets. They love themselves in a league where really you probably should lean hiring the offensive coordinator because, well, you need that head coach with that mind because you cycle through offensive coordinators and you need your quarterback with somebody you can lean on through the years. The Jets, with one exception, since 2000, have always hired the defensive coordinator. Always. And the one offensive coordinator they did hire? Adam Gase.
Who looks like he murders pets. Adam Gase, pet murderer.
He got fired by the Jets, Danger. It was so bad, he never worked again. I don't know if that's by his choice or just took his money and that was it. But
wasn't good.
No.
In Vegas, they're finalizing their deal to hire Bucs assistant GM John Spytek for their open GM role. So the Raiders opting to hire their GM before their head coach. The Jets opting to hire their head coach before the GM.
So does that mean the OC, Cohen, is going to go to the
Oh, no.
Raiders?
Liam Cohen has withdrawn from Jacksonville consideration for their head coaching opening and opted rather to stay in Tampa as their offensive coordinator, which one could assume prompted the swift termination of a sports bar favorite, Jags GM Trent Baalke.
We're not there yet. We still got a couple of days going through. Coach and I haven't sat down and gone through the final board yet. We'll do that on Monday.
That's 2024 Take of the Year nominee, Trent Baalke.
It's so good. You re-listen to it. He pauses. He could have just talked straight over it.
He probably did the lean. I think he probably had to do the lean.
Yeah.
As he was talking. Get comfortable, do the little lean, a little lift of the cheek. I just can't believe it came out with such velocity and it was as audible as it was to the point where he had to excuse himself before continuing on. I mean, I give the man a ton of credit. Shad Khan not feeling the same way and relieving his GM, Trent Baalke, of his duties today.
You just figured this out? That people might not want to work for that guy? Like Jim Harbaugh, pretty well respected. No, I'm done. I'm going back to college. Sorry here. Like, that should have been clue number one.
Well, yeah, that and is gas. Nobody wants to work with a gas bag. That's that's unfortunate. So now Jacksonville looks for a head coach and a GM as well.
We were joined earlier today by Jay Binkley, and I know he's still listening in on the Odyssey app. You know why? Binkley says he owns a remote control fart machine.
Farts on demand.
Like
with different tones.
He's texting me a story. He will do that for his own amusement. Go into a movie theater.
Oh, yeah.
And then, put it back there and then
Yeah.
hit the button.
I don't look. Maybe you can call me immature all you want. I don't care. Farts are funny. Farts will never not make me laugh. I know I just used a double negative. Again, I don't care if you call me immature. Inside, I'm 12, and farts are funny.
We have a standard here, Mike Danger.
Oh,
we are a respectable sports show. We're the only local sports show in
let's
the Flower
clean it up
City.
a little bit. Can we talk about the Baseball Hall of Fame? Is Baseball Writer available to talk? What happened? Why are we so upset that Ichiro wasn't unanimous? What happened?
That's Baseball Writers coming up in show.
Okay,
so,
good.
Yeah.
I just want to we got to class things up a little bit here because Baseball Writer can't stand for this kind of foolishness, this kind of tomfoolery. What are we making a mockery of sports? Maybe.
That's baseball. Live listen to baseball.
Maybe a little bit. Maybe just a little bit.
We can also gosh, I got to call for Jerry to do it again, bud.
Oh, yeah, right. We got to get to that here. You got to call after 5:30, right?
5:30.
That's the
so
cutoff.
being a talk show host on the Fan Rochester does not get you out of Jerry.
No, I think you got to pull. You got some pull, and you got to throw your weight around a little bit. You don't have a problem big timing our audience, so why wouldn't you just big time the Monroe County judge and just say, no, can't do it. Judicial system needs to take a back seat. We do a sports talk show every day.
For the record, I don't intentionally big time anybody. Carlos, the one time, said I big timed him, and I didn't realize I did.
You have a record.
Brian at Fisher came up to me while I was on the air.
Massive big time.
And we're joined now by, I don't even know your name, sir. Can't do that.
Made poor Brian self-conscious. He was so excited to meet you, tell you what a great job you do for St. John Fisher basketball and here on the Fan Rochester, and you shushed him. You shushed him.
I shushed him. A big timer.
like he's a toddler. You shushed a grown man like he's a toddler. You big timed him. Can you shush the courts? Shush your jury duty. Make it go away. All right, we'll check in on that here in a couple few. What else from today? We've got Anthony Brown waived from the Bills practice squad. Your guy is back.
Eli Anku back on the practice squad. Anthony Brown.
Thank you for your service.
They had to tell him up front, right?
Had to. We'll give you a check.
1 week.
We need you here for a couple of practices. You're playing the role of Lamar.
Could that be, in the future, Mark Fergali? His wife, great musician, she is the subject, you could say, of the Bonnie Raitt tribute band.
Oh.
Deb. And they go around town. She goes around the country. Bonnie Raitt tribute band. Is that what Anthony Brown is? He's like the tribute band there for Lamar Jackson. Any team that's signing the Ravens, hey, I know how to impersonate him. I know what plays.
It's a way to make a living.
Yeah, he can go from practice squad to practice squad to practice squad.
It's a way to make a living. And your boy Eli Anku is back. So most likely won't get activated, but back in the practice squad. And one final note on the Bills, or Bills-related note, and this is why we love Bills Mafia, of course. Mark Andrews, at last check, I haven't checked in the last couple of hours, but before we jumped on the air, I took a peek at the GoFundMe for his foundation, Breakthrough T1D, which is for juvenile diabetes. Mark Andrews' GoFundMe now is up over 75,000 with a goal of 90,000. You got an update?
79,758.
Okay,
2,700 people have donated, and look, that's kind of the signature, right, of the Bills fan base. Sometimes I think we take it kind of too far, but for somebody like Mark Andrews, that's a tough one. And okay,
he's a pro's pro. Yeah. He's a really good football player. Had a bad play, and I don't care how poorly you play, or nobody deserves death threats, any sort of threats, just for doing your job. And he did his job. He was out there in the cold playing for the team that pays. It's just ridiculous. So Bills Mafia doing what they always do.
And then I'm reading through some of these donations, and so James writing in, I have huge respect for Mark being an athlete despite type 1 diabetes. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Things we don't talk about normally.
So in just the course of the last couple of hours, another 4,000 added. They're going to get to their 90,000 goal, and Bills Mafia doing what Bills Mafia does best, which is giving back and showing a more generous side.
You know how I learned about that, though? It was actually the Ravens who tweeted that out. For the Ravens to give an opposing fan base who just beat you credit on that.
Yeah. A round of shots on the way next. And did I hear you say baseball writer might be stopping by?
Well, baseball writer might have some thoughts here as to what happened last night here, certainly. We have a postponement in the NBA in a place you might not expect. And somebody is new. I don't know if we call her Bills Mafia, but person who normally wouldn't root for Buffalo is cheering for Buffalo. We'll explain.
At the fan Rochester on X, Ray calling us Charmin all the way. Got the house set to 63. Open the window in the bedroom at night.
Okay, Ray, where do you work? And again, I preface this. I know we have a lot of drivers going around who have us on and working outside.
Oh, yeah.
It's probably not, you're like, come on, guys, what are you talking
Right,
about?
we really shouldn't be complaining.
No.
There are bigger complaints to have. But, yeah, it's chilly in the studio. All right, we'll take a break. Gino will check his jury duty status, and we'll have a round of shots next on The Fan.
Your Bills Mafia sports station. 95.7 FM and AM 950 The update.
Taylor Rapp, Deion Dawkins did not practice today. Dawkins with an illness. Christian Benford still going through the concussion protocol. Matt Milano were limited today, being just a walkthrough. Head coach Sean McDermott on this familiar opponent and setting.
And we've played each other multiple times now. Initially when we first arrived here, we played in 2017, my first season out there, and then didn't play there was a gap in there of time. And then it seems like, when you have two good teams, two good organizations, that you kind of see each other frequently now. So we have a lot of respect for them.
Pre-game coverage of the AFC Championship game begins Sunday at 2 here on The Fan. The Jets have their man. He's former Lions defensive coordinator Aaron Glenn. Glenn, the new head coach in New York. Jacksonville firing GM Trent Baalke. Amerks play in Providence Friday night. Gene Battaglia, the sports leader, 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
From the field to the court to the rink, the sports leader is there. 95.7 FM and AM 950, The Fan, Rochester.
Are you still dancing with an opportunity to get out of jury duty?
It's good news for tomorrow. I'm not needed tomorrow. I don't have to call in the afternoon of tomorrow, but I have to call again same time tomorrow night just to see if they have to report on Friday night.
All right.
But I think more often than not, though, they're not going to let me.
Yeah, you're good.
I think.
You'll be off the hook. Congratulations. It's time for a round of shots.
Come on, it's the AFC Championship week. I just tell the judge, I just go down there, look, I got a show to do today.
You tell him. You tell him who you are. You say, I am Gene Battaglia, host of the Sports Bar with Danger and Battaglia. Don't you know who I am? Don't you know what's happening on Sunday?
For the record, I've never once said, don't you know who I am?
Do you know who I am? Is the card. That was actually Dan Hurley yesterday.
Yes.
Was basically pulled a do you know who I am? Not directly do you know who I am, but don't you turn your back on me. I'm the best effing coach in the game, I believe was the quote.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. I mean, I don't like him as much anymore, knowing that he's got that kind of arrogance. Hey, heated guy, but ugh.
I remember that when Rome first came on the air, he used to goof on the late Bill Walsh, the L.A., NorCal thing. Bill Walsh is in Vegas. He's at a card table, and there's some sort of dispute, and he tells the other person, do you know who I am? He promptly gets punched in the face, reportedly.
So Walsh got punched in the face.
Yes.
For throwing do you know who I am?
Yeah. You don't do that. Do you know who I am?
I'm the best effing coach in the game. Don't you turn your back on me.
If you didn't stay up past midnight to catch Sabres hockey, and chances are you didn't, Buffalo won.
Hey.
It was a kid, Yuri Kulik, helping Buffalo rally for the 3-2 win. Kulik, 2 goals, tying goal, and then with 6:24 remaining, he found J.J. Peterka for the game winner. Game 3 of the 4-game roadie tomorrow night in Calgary. This is one way to look at it, I suppose, since the 13-game losing streak. Buffalo has gone 7-5-1 in the next 13.
Not good enough. You lost 13 in a row. You got to win 13 in a row. Let's go. Pick it up, boys. You want to get in the playoff picture? Need a streak.
I'm not even entertaining this.
No.
The owner is very distracted right now.
Yeah.
The CEO, very distracted right now.
A lot going on.
Yeah, it'll be someday, like in late February after all this, like, wait a second, my gosh, look where we are. What happened?
Well, what I do like about the win, not to completely crap all over the Sabres, but I like that it's the kids doing it. I like that the former Amerks stepping up in a big way, Kulik being involved in all 3 goals, Peterka getting the winner. And every time Kulik, Peterka, Quinn, anytime those guys have themselves a game, I just think of Seth Appert in my ear talking to us every Tuesday and talking about how he's developing these guys.
Yeah.
And in the case of Kulik, I know that earlier this year when he was down here, a lot of people were wondering, like, should he be down here more? And his own coaches believe he's not ready for the NHL. He needs more time here. Rosane is still here. Kulik is up, and Kulik is making the case to stay up with his play. He's playing well.
Mike Leone, who joined us yesterday, and like, hey, like it was a dumb question. He's like, of course I'm staying up. What do you say? He sleeps, 3-4 hours a night?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's one of those. Washington Capitol goaltender Logan Thompson says he was distracted by a tray of nachos that were thrown on the ice.
Who amongst us?
Thompson says the distraction led to the winning goal by Edmonton's Corey Perry. Thompson was pointing at the ref to blow the whistle. They didn't. Rule 63.5 of the handbook says objects on the ice blowing the play dead is up to the referee's discretion. And the refs deemed that the nachos were not interfering with the actual play.
Love hockey. I love it so much. Nachos get thrown on the ice. Goal comes. Goalie complains about it. Corey Perry gets the game-winning goal.
Corey Perry
proceeds to go nail Logan Thompson's mom.
I knew you were going to.
After the game.
Allegedly.
After the game, Corey Perry looks up Logan Thompson's mom and makes a one-night stand out of it. Not only did I score with nachos on the ice, I nailed your mom, Thompson. Stay down. Hockey's the best.
The
nachos were not interfering with the play?
Is that a myth that Corey Perry slept with Eric Bedard's mother?
With Connor Bedard's
mom.
Bedard,
I'm sorry.
Yeah, they were teammates Bedard's rookie season last year, and Corey Perry was the captain of the team at the beginning of the season.
And they got rid of him really
abruptly moved off of him for conduct detrimental to the team. Now, what that was will become speculation forever. They came right out as soon as they released him, and they denied that, there are some rumors out there that are just, quite frankly, I don't know how these things get started, but which leads me to believe that there's some truth to it. There might be some truth to it. Otherwise, why even acknowledge it?
This happened right after the mom's trip, though.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the word on the street, that Corey Perry got it all with Connor Bedard's mom. And who knows? Yeah. So for now on, Corey Perry just, not only is he scoring game-winning goals, he's going out with the mom of Logan Thompson afterwards.
What is the justification for someone leaving Ichiro Suzuki off their Hall of Fame ballot? We caught up with baseball writer, and he said, "There's one time he refused to grant me, baseball writer, an interview, and I left him off the ballot."
Sure, yeah.
I mean, Rookie of the Year, MVP, 10-time All-Star, 10-time Gold Glove winner, Major League record, 262 hits in a single season. But no, some writer had to make this about him.
Yeah, I don't care.
Also going in the Hall, CeCe Sabathia and Billy Wagner.
This is such a...
Oh, who cares?
I mean, this is so... Every year that we go through this, every year there's like, why wasn't it unanimous? What? It's only happened one time.
Oh, who cares?
You're in. Who cares? Suzuki doesn't have to worry. He's in. He should be in. He was fantastic. We got to make it about the baseball writer once a year. The guy that didn't vote him in. The guy that didn't put him on his ballot. I mean, doesn't that writer know that the one constant through all the years has been baseball? That America has rolled by like an army of steamrollers. It's been erased like a blackboard, rebuilt and erased again.
I've heard this somewhere.
But baseball has marked the time. This field, this game, it's a part of our past. It reminds us of all that was once good, and it could be again. But what does a baseball writer recognize that when he leaves Ichiro off his ballot? It's embarrassing. And I really don't care about baseball writer.
Oh, who cares? 8 inches of snow in New Orleans, essentially shutting the city down. So no NBA game tonight between Milwaukee and the Pelicans. 8 games in the NBA tonight. Boston against the Clippers in L.A. Doubleheader on ESPN has Minnesota and Dallas, followed by the Warriors in Sacramento.
All right, I was a little harsh on our neighbors to the south earlier today, saying that they're shutting down for a dusting. I didn't realize 8 inches. That's a big deal for New Orleans. 8 inches is a big deal for anybody that gets that amount of snow. That you have to be. You're not
they
equipped.
Don't have any plow.
Yeah, they're not equipped for any of that.
No, the video of somebody skating down overnight. Like
they're not equipped for it. We are. I mean, 8 inches is a nuisance for us, right? That's a nuisance for us. But we're equipped. We can get around. We won't close things down. But down there, 8 inches is a problem. I get that.
Finally, we welcome a new member of Bills Mafia. Maybe, at least somebody that's going to be cheering for the Bills this week. That's Kayla Nicole Brown. Who is Kayla Nicole Brown, you're asking? She is the ex-girlfriend of Chiefs tight end Travis Kelce.
Oh, boy.
Speaking on the I Am Athlete Daily podcast, Brown said she would love to see the Bills pull off the upset, saying that she and other fans are tired of seeing the Chiefs win consistently. Brown and Kelce dated from 2017 to 2022. She says it was tough going through a public breakup.
Okay, so when are we going to hear from Josh Allen's ex and have her say, "Oh, I'm really rooting for the Chiefs"? Okay, can we stop?
Well, you're right. That's going to be tomorrow's story.
Tomorrow's story. Josh Allen's ex-girlfriend goes on a podcast and spills all and says, "Well, I really don't like the Bills. I hope the Chiefs win. I'm a big Taylor Swift fan." Okay. Caitlin Clark up in the booth was something, though, right? That was in the suite. That was something.
Yeah, I mean,
are we getting? Is it? I mean, it jumped the shark a while ago, but now it just feels like, okay, this is just obvious thirst.
Oh, just the Taylor Swift shot in the.
Yeah.
I mean, every time that Kelsey makes a catch, just play TV director at home. In fact, if you can count it down yourself, it feels really good. Okay, cut away to Taylor Swift in 3, 2, 1.
I was doing it during the inauguration the other day. I'm watching it, and the talking heads were talking, and the president is giving a speech. I'm like, okay, let's wrap it up. We kind of want to hear what crazy thing he's going to say next, but you guys are just gibbering. Like, I'm playing director at home. I'm like, it's nice to not have to be a brand manager or program director when I'm in the comfort of my own home.
No, I mean, it's a different way to watch football. Just play the director. Okay, cut away to the coach. Cut away to the fans. Cut away. Oh, okay, yep. Make sure T Swift is on there.
We're coming back. We're going to need some barbecue. We're going to need some barbecue. Can we get some barbecue on the way back in?
So they film the same damn 3 things in Buffalo every time.
Wings,
the Anchor Bar,
the Falls,
and then
look at a Skyline.
The Skyline, yeah,
those are the 3.
But the Skyline's always kind of like a drone, and there's nobody on the streets because they film it at night. It makes it look kind of abandoned.
Yeah. We got to get to last call next at 866-4FAN if you want to have the final word in the sports bar this afternoon. 585-866-4326.
Your home for the Buffalo. Fan, Rochester.
This game here, this time in the postseason.
There's some things that are similar,
really similar.
That's just really sloppy. I'm sorry about that. That's what happens when you do your show with mittens on. I don't know what to say. Maybe give us heat.
Do I email the general manager and be like, hey, it's a 60. You have to keep it.
I say give it a day.
Give it a day.
Another day. Give it another day.
I've been giving it another day.
I know. I think we've been more than patient. But I did see Derek the pizza dude earlier.
See, the problem is if I email the general manager, she's just going to throw it back on Derek, and I don't.
That's exactly what it's
I'm
always going to go back on.
Yeah, and Derek is not the person.
He's not.
No. It's the cheap landlord that owns this building.
Well, Derek's assistant, not assistant. That's not right. That's not his assistant. That's his
his
counterpart, his cohort, Dylan Scott from the Land That Time Forgot. I saw him in the hallway. He's like, we just got done ordering your heat pump. I'm like, okay, I think that's good. So maybe we're moving closer to resolution. I shouldn't make excuses. That was just sloppy. That was a sloppy entry to the break. That's sloppier than showing buffalo wings when you're watching Sunday Night Football when you're coming back from a break. Or, here's a shot of the Niagara Falls.
Yeah, there we go again. You wonder why we're down in the NBA. I'm like, really? I thought we took care of this. Breaking news in the sports bar, if you want to call it. Miami has again suspended Jimmy Butler for 2 games.
Who cares?
Does football have this problem? I don't want to play for you. Okay, you're suspended.
Who cares?
Yeah. You want out? We're not going to let you out. We don't want to pay you. Sit out. I don't know. I mean, I haven't been following this story, but I just feel like this is. You could take out Jimmy Butler and insert any number of players that don't want to be playing for the team that they're playing for in the NBA. Feels like per capita there's more of those players in the NBA than there are certainly in the NFL because we know it exists in all sports. Like
sure, I guess that's true. Yeah.
Like, I don't really want to be here anymore. But you're under contract, so suck it up, pal. And the game in New Orleans postponed due to
snow.
8 inches of snow. Crazy. Great show today. Lots of fun. And we invited Jay Binkley in. I know a lot of you hear Jay Binkley and you're like, no, can't do it. But I thought he was great today, and he gave us some good insight into what makes this Chiefs team different, what makes this game on Sunday different. We both disagree that he believes that the Chiefs are being disrespected. Come on. You're hearing, because they're being talked about in the national media, because some of the national media, they're feeding into that narrative of the Chiefs get all the calls. It's a false narrative, by the way. The Chiefs get all the calls. The refs are doing this for the Chiefs. It's all rigged. Stop. We also talked to Bart Winkler, who's always a lot of fun from the Infinity Sports Network. Good to hear him later on tonight. And both of those conversations are available for you now, wherever you get your podcasts, wherever you listen to your shows. Just search out the Sports Bar. You'll find all of our work there, including today's conversations.
Tomorrow on the show, Dan Fates, 13 Web. He's in Buffalo today, as tomorrow is going to be a full practice. We'll get more from Orchard Park. We'll also be catching up with our friend Alex Gold from 96.5, The Fan in Kansas City. Kind of a little more, all right, X and O type of interview there as far as that's concerned.
If you want to know how or why this Bills team feels different, Dan Fates asked Josh Allen today a great question, straight up. When you were stood up at the goal line, it looked as if you wanted to pitch the ball back to Cook. Did that thought cross your mind? And Josh Allen, kind of smirking, said, no. And Fates followed it up with, would younger Josh Allen have pitched the ball back to James Cook? And he said, yeah, probably. Team is growing up. It feels different. We're getting fired up one more day. Closer to Sunday's AFC Championship in Kansas City between the Bills and the Chiefs. So, yeah, the table is set for tomorrow. Dan Fates, 13 Web Sports in Buffalo, plus Alex Gold from 96.5, The Fan in Kansas City. Stopping by for our Thursday episode starting at 3 o'clock. JR Sport Brief next on The Fan.